Haven't yet, please sign up for the website updates and township alerts on our township updates. We list all the snow emergencies. We list all the information. It's like your own little township Google. The next televised regular council meeting is February 23rd, which begins at 6:30 with public portion opening up at 8 p.m. The municipal offices will be closed Monday, February 17th, 2025, in observance of President's Day. And we're now open on Lincoln's Day, correct? We're now open on Lincoln's Day. Normally this Friday we'd be closed, but we're now open. Our council met in closed session to discuss the following: potential sale of township property, personnel, contracts, legal issues and their opinions regarding any items on open session agenda, litigation updates, and Oprah.
Mayor, sorry to interrupt. Good evening, everybody. Just wanted to say the meeting is February 25th. I might have put 23 there. That was my fault if I did.
The 25th, but I...
25th. It's all good.
Okay. And with that, let's go start. Okay. Presentations. I don't believe we have any. Let's jump into work session items. Miscellaneous. Old business. New business.
Mayor, at this point, the resolution that we were talking about for SDL, if I could get a motion to read that new language into the record for the 2-year agreement versus the 1-year agreement. This will effectively swap the language from resolution 49, which is our first item on the agenda this evening, the consent agenda, sorry.
Motion Schwartz.
Second.
Cool. Let me read it into the record very quickly. Authorizing yearly annual maintenance and support services for SDL management system software, whereas the Township Council has approved via Resolution 163-2019, the purchase of data management system issued by SDL to be used by various township departments. And whereas the management system is now functional and yearly maintenance and support and services are needed to keep the system working properly. And whereas SDL in Somerset, New Jersey has submitted a 2-year proposal for 2025 and 2026 for the period of 2025 at a cost of $52,710, and for the period of 2026, $56,926.80. A copy of proposal is on file with the township clerk. It will be attached to the minutes later on this evening. Whereas the provision or performance of goods and services for the support or maintenance of the proprietary computer hardware and software is exempt from public bidding, and whereas it is impractical to solicit informal quotes under the statute for such proprietary computer software services, and whereas SDL has completed and submitted a business entity disclosure certification and the corresponding pay-to-play forms for the township and state law, and whereas the CFO is certified that funds are available for this procurement in the budget account 5-01-20-140-000-204 for the 2025 budget year, and subsequent years will be contingent with sufficient funds being provided by the township in 2026, and this certification becomes part of the resolution. Be it further resolved that the mayor is hereby authorized to execute and the township clerk to attest an agreement between the Township of Teaneck and SDL to carry out the foregoing purposes of a form approved by the Township Attorney at a cost not to exceed $109,636.80. So we'll get a roll call real quick just to add that to Resolution 49. We had a motion from the mayor, and I think it was a second from Deputy Mayor Organ.
Yes.
Councilwoman Goldberg.
Yes.
Councilman Pond.
Yes.
Councilwoman G.
Yes.
Councilman Katz. Deputy Mayor Belger.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ.
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Effectively swapped.
Excellent. Now that was new business or communication?
That was new business.
Okay. Anyone else on new business before I jump in? Okay. Just a brief update. Sorry. I've spoken to most of you over the last few weeks. We'll have some additional meetings coming up, but just some flavor. We've met with, I don't believe I reported on this last time. We've met with FDU. We've met with the Bergen County as it relates to DPW. I've met with Leonia as it relates to potential to do some work with them in a DPW. I've met with the Northeast Block Association presidents. And last night I met with the Coalition of Neighborhood Associations. I'll report on the neighborhood associations briefly in a second under my council listed items. And over the next week or two, I'll be writing up some of my summaries and submitting it to council as to those meetings and where we can go forward with that. Okay. New Jersey Bus Shelters Communications.
Yep, Mr. Mayor, thank
Please.
you. So I got an email from a resident about wanting to move some of the bus stops along West Englewood. And the concern that he had was pretty much in line with what was discussed on the pedestrian safety task force call as well. And that report went out to the whole town. Thank you, Doug. So the bus stops are before the intersection. So there's a whole email chain in here, but according to New Jersey Transit's own documentation, the state code and our code, we actually, the process to start moving a bus stop starts with a resolution. So I know it's kind of a little out of order, but I do have a resolution on council listed, so we can do it here if everyone's okay. Just asking engineering to do a pedestrian safety review of the intersection to see if it would be in the best interest of the town and public safety to request that we move the bus stop. So the resolution is actually under council listed, so sorry about that. But it's literally just asking her to do an engineering study. I want to get it.
You're
Sorry.
saying this is 5, and the number 5 in the council listed as well.
Right, but it's supposed to be under communications. But it's just asking Farah to do an engineering study to move to see if there's a pedestrian risk
Excellent.
at the bus stop, and if there is, then so if it's on a municipal road, our code says that we can do it. So I'd like to move that to the consent
Hold on,
agenda.
Mrs.
Oh,
Manager, I think I
sorry.
had a question. I mean, and I don't know, I think we just need nodding heads for this. I don't know if we need a resolution, but that's just my
I just
opinion.
want to, well, if we're asking Farah,
Second.
I don't know if we need,
Well,
I think,
Mrs. Manager, can you weigh in on that, Mrs. Manager?
Yes, I just wanted to let you know that I did consult with NJ Transit and they did look at these bus stops the beginning of January for us. And they did give us a proposal that I could share with council that I just didn't have a chance to fully review yet. And they gave us a sample resolution that I could bring to next meeting for everyone. They did inspect the bus stops, which I can then ask Farah to inspect for us as well.
so my only question, Scott, this is, I think, for you. So New Jersey Transit's own I mean, I don't care if they're willing to move this stop. That's all the better. I just want to make sure that we do it right because their own documentation, which I sent you, says that we have to start it. So I just want to make sure it's right because we don't think we do this very often.
They do say that it is the municipality's decision. They just will give us a proposal and we can review the
Oh,
resolution
okay.
for consideration. So they're not saying that they will move it. They do caution us that when we do move these bus stops, that it could raise other residential complaints. But if we feel that it's a safety move, we are more than welcome to proceed with resolution.
Anyone got a question?
Yeah, we weighed in with traffic about this because one person's stopping before an intersection and waiting for people to walk in front of the bus and having a car pull around the bus that way may be a different viewpoint than somebody else where the bus stop is now on the other side of the intersection and the person is forced to then walk behind the bus and cross. So I would love to get an opinion on that before we allocate money for the engineer. I'd also like to see the response from NJDOT before we pass the resolution for the engineer. And just one other point. So I started this email chain from the resident, and while I don't like that the entire chain with the manager is included in the packet, for anyone who does have a chance to read it or who has read the packet, this is the care that Ms. Hashmat takes with every complaint or every question from every resident who reaches out to her. I know this because we're on a lot of those emails, but she goes back and forth all day until something is resolved. And so to read it all in whole and not just one email at a time makes me very happy to see how you treat the residents in town. Every email gets printed and she has a stack about this big on her desk, but everything gets answered right away. So thank you.
So I just wanted to address that. So the issue of the buses stopping before the intersection is actually literally what we spoke about at the Queen Anne Road and Van Delinda meeting at the task force, and we were looking into, so this directly ties into a direct traffic pedestrian safety concern that was just raised. And I'm probably going to explain this part wrong, but I know that there's a difference in when you're reviewing, this kind of a thing from a traffic safety perspective versus a pedestrian safety. And I don't think it would be harmful to just have the engineer review it. But I think if you're looking at, are people illegally crossing the street kind of a thing, I get that. But I think this is about where the bus stop is in relation to the line of sight. And this is directly tied to what we were discussing with the Vision Zero goals. Actually, maybe Councilmember Pagan can jump in on that because you deal with this a lot.
Yeah, that was a meeting that we had with the county. When was it, last week? And street safety, smart safety, the manager and some stakeholders. And it mentioned a number of things along the lines similar to this and what you can do to increase public safety, especially in a town as large as Teaneck, and how traffic is growing and increasing and more people are trying to use the bus to save some money, but spot on.
Mr. Manager, you're going to submit everything out to the council and you'll have engineering look as well. I think that's what the general consensus was, right? Excellent. Thank
Yes,
you
I'll
very
share
much.
everything with you.
Okay. Next, Leo, committee reports for myself, the zoning subcommittee. That is in everyone's packet. It's also on the website. It's also down below. Please read it. There's some about 8 or so subjects, nothing that's happening imminently, but please, if you have any questions or any member of the public have any questions about all these potential new developments or related subcommittee, zoning subcommittee matters, feel free to reach out to me. So as this moves through the process, everyone's kept well informed. Council listed. Any other committee reports? Sorry.
I'm very sorry, Mayor. I think we skipped over the Youth Advisory
Oh,
Board.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Councilman Katz, I think
apologize.
you had something that you wanted to bring up about the Youth Advisory Board?
Just 2 requests from the Youth Advisory Board. They discussed again the little libraries in the park. I believe that we got the PPRAB spoke about it. So I don't know what's the next steps if council wants to take on the request. I think they asked for all the parks. If you want to try some of the parks, if you want to try a few of the parks. And then the other is a request to the manager, if it's okay, to see if the youth, some kids from the Youth Advisory Board can shadow different departments, maybe like 2-3 hours. I'd like to see what the engineer does. Can I sit in the engineer's office? Maybe just tuck them into different departments and try to be helpful / observers so that they can learn how government operates. Those are the 2 requests. And also, I know that they asked, and I spoke to the mayor, and we've done in the past, and about joining us on the dais for a few minutes during some of the meetings. When they ask me, I'll inform the mayor.
Can I just respond one question from PPRB? I don't know if this was kind of finalized. So there was questions about it going into Votee Park, whether that was the right park, because it's more of like an active recreation park, or is it better to go into one of the smaller parks? Because I know the little library in Sagamore is coming down, or that's actually in my PPRB report. But was there discussions about any other part? That was the only one that I still heard
I
about.
thought the request was a broad request for all the parks.
It was actually one for Votee, one for Argonne.
Okay.
And
so-
I did connect with Youth Advisory Board. Ron, is the laptop plugged in? Sorry. Yeah, sorry. We don't want our laptop running out of battery there. Yes, we are working with Youth Advisory Board and DPW to procure the materials. We're just duking out which color we want the little library to be. If we'll get some kids to paint one, if we'll get an already pre-painted, because they actually have a very beautiful like Teaneck blue one that we're talking about. But yeah, so we're moving along on that. I'll let the manager respond regarding the shadowing of employees.
Yeah, I can look into having maybe
Thanks,
a
Ron.
youth and government day, and they can sign up and come in and shadow different departments. I'll try to organize that and I'll report back.
Okay.
Okay. Jump into council listed item. Is there any more liaison reports not listed? Anybody else?
Oh, Mr. Mayor, I just
Yeah.
want to read the PPRB report.
Please.
Second. Sorry, I sent it to Doug. So there's currently 3 open spots on PPRAB now due to resignations, including Lillian Lewis. So if anyone knows anyone interested in serving, I encourage them to apply. There's a very busy spring and summer ahead. They're still asking for the Senior Citizens Advisory Board report to be shared. So if we can get that for the next meeting, I think they're meeting the 20th. So the PPRB would be meeting the 1st of the next month. There was a request for Sagamore Park fencing, which I sent to the manager, but just so everybody knows, the resident, I also sent it to PPRB to ask for PPRB to reconsider adding a fence around the playground around Sagamore Park to enhance safety for young children. There's young kids running out into the middle of the street, and there was a lot of concerned parents there. And I know that the manager confirmed that they're going to be looking at a temporary solution until the larger project is done. Sunshine Gardens is now enrolled at 30 students, 3 upcoming tours in February. Licensing renewal applications are submitted. Background checks are being processed for the staff. Winter programs began January 6th. There's 140 youth participants, 67 adults. The forum is having an upcoming visit to medieval times. And they just wanted to, they're also talking about the little libraries, that they are fully in support of the little libraries programs by YABIT. And that's really it.
Anyone else reports? Jump in.
Just a question for Councilwoman Goldberg. Can you just forward me the email request for SCAB one more time? Thanks.
Sure.
Deputy Mayor?
So for the Patriotic Observance Advisory Board, any veterans in town, any family of veterans or past veterans who have lived in Teaneck in the past, we're kicking off again the Military Veteran Tribute Banner Program for 2025. The application is on the website. We hang the new banners Memorial Day, and then they hang from Memorial Day through Veterans Day. So we got a really nice start last year. Some were hung on Cedar Lane, some were hung by the Armory, some on Teaneck Road. We would love to continue with that program. So please, if you know anybody, encourage them or fill out an application to honor them. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone, other reports? Deputy Mayor?
Briefly, I just want to mention that the Historic Preservation Commission has met. They're working on a survey to survey historic preservation, historic homeowners. That's in the works, and we're super excited about that. In addition to looking at some grant opportunities, also wanted to mention the Chamber of Commerce is meeting tomorrow, so that will be a meeting that I can report back on. That's about it.
Thank you. Tomorrow night, Cedar Lane Management Group meeting 6:30 with dinner. It is open to the public, so whoever wants to eat, come on out. On to council listed items. Queen Anne Road, DeGraw Avenue area I listed. I'm going to push that off. I briefly discussed it in the subcommittee, the zoning subcommittee. The reason I'm going to push it off is we had a great meeting, as briefly mentioned last night, with the Coalition of Neighborhood Associations, and with some of the action steps there that will work on the vacancies and work on our business districts may fold into this. So I'm going to put this on the side for a few weeks, specifically about what we could do about all the vacancies. Councilwoman Goldberg, proposed resolution, transparency in council subcommittee meetings.
Okay, so there's a copy of the resolution in the packet. So 3 meetings ago, this council established the subcommittees for 2025 and 2026, and now it's time to ensure that those subcommittees operate with transparency and accountability. There's only been 1 public subcommittee in Teaneck's history, and that was the final subcommittee meeting of the cannabis subcommittee that dissolved, because now everything will be held in open session in front of the full council, exactly how it should be. So this resolution is asking that the council consider all subcommittees be publicly have posted times and agendas on the township website at least 5 days in advance. The agendas include the time, date, location of the meeting, discussion of the topics, the note stating that subcommittees do not have the authority to take formal action and will report back to the full council. All subcommittees shall be held in full view of the public unless a closed session is required under law. Video is available if we're going to do Zoom. Minutes of each subcommittee must be prepared and include the date, time, and location, all attendees, including council members, staff, members of the public, general summary of the discussion, draft minutes sent to all council members within 5 days, and final minutes posted on the website within 10 days, and then quarterly a report to the council of how many meetings they've had, topics discussed, and recommendations to the full council. This does not change the function of the subcommittees. It simply ensures that they operate in the open, where all council members and the public can remain informed. And with that, I would like to move this resolution to the consent agenda to open Teaneck subcommittees.
Second.
Wait, do we have time for discussion? Or
I mean, we can have adjust. I mean, I don't jump in.
yeah, I just have a lot of comments on the way it's written. I don't know if this is a good time to provide some minutes. So I'm 100% open to the subcommittees being open to the public. I think subcommittees are a good thing. It gives the council an opportunity to work on time-consuming matters not during the council meetings. I think they should be open to public if they're not discussing information that for legal reasons should not be made public. The one exception to the rule for that for me is personnel subcommittee, where we're interviewing, dozens and dozens of candidates for different advisory board roles, or we may be discussing people's personal information. And so I would ask that the personnel subcommittee remain closed. There are some other issues in here that I would just like to tweak. I'd like, if possible, the notice, the 5 days advance notice. There are some times where you might need to schedule a subcommittee meeting last minute for whatever reason. And so if we could provide some language that gives some leeway if there's like an emergent issue. I already talked about the personnel subcommittee, the minute taking. Right now, all the subcommittees do not have chairs. And so it's not clear who would be responsible for the minute taking. I think some clarity there would be important. If we could have some support, I don't know, from the clerk's office, perhaps, to help take minutes, I think that would make sure that this happens more accurately, more consistently, rather than put the onus on the people who are in the meetings who might be presenting. It's hard to take minutes while you're actively in the meeting. So I think if we could have some administrative support, I think that would support that request. The written quarterly summary, I'm not sure if that's necessary if we're posting minutes. It just seems like additional work. I think people can go back and read the monthly minutes as needed. So I don't know, I would like to strike that out if possible. And then I'm just curious what is meant by corrective action in that second to last paragraph.
So I don't know if the subcommittees need to change. A lot of this, this has been a hot topic in TNEC for a while. So if there's a subcommittee meeting that's not open to the public and I'm fine with, I'm fine with it. I think everything you said actually, but I have one question. But if it's not open to the public or if it's done, the whole council needs to discuss it. Maybe the subcommittee members need to change. It would be up to the council to discuss, but we'd all have to discuss it. My only one question is the minutes that you were just mentioning, is that similar to what, I don't remember if it was you or Deputy Mayor Belcher mentioned a few months ago, asking for a similar thing about the minutes? Is it the same? Okay, I'm fine with all of that.
Deputy Mayor Organ and Belcher.
So I'm reading this a little differently. We just spent a lot of time with the swim club subcommittee, and it was 3 of us working with the manager, the attorney, and members of the swim club, and opening that up to the entire community. No work would have gotten done. It would have been like a council meeting with one person after the next speaking. I think the subcommittees, some may be different, but they're used as like workbooks for us where we sit around and we discuss. So if we're looking to name a street and we sit down and we start talking about it, that's something for the street naming subcommittee. That's something that we might want to open to the public, maybe at a council meeting, or ask people to submit. But the actual work that we do as a subcommittee, I think this is very restricting. I think this is going to keep us from getting work done. And any member of the public has the opportunity to hear from us on anything that's decided at a meeting. But I think this doesn't apply to most of our subcommittees. When we talk about the leaf pickup subcommittee and we meet with the DPW and the manager to discuss who they're going to hire for that year for leaf pickup, that's not something that needs to be open to the public. And I think bringing the public into that would just slow things down. And it's hard enough to get things done now where we're all taking time off from work to get together with our professionals. To me, this doesn't make sense.
I just want to chime in that I'm speaking specifically of the Affordable Housing Subcommittee and the work that had to be done over the several months throughout last year. It was a scenario where the subcommittee was tasked with a lot of compliance dates and responsibilities that they had. So I find that oftentimes most organizations, if anyone works in any organizations, your subcommittee is what's driving the work that you do. So a lot of times we were tasked, particularly in the affordable housing subcommittee, to do research, to do follow-up, to talk, to convene other individuals to find out additional information. I find that oftentimes it's not as clear cut as, reporting within 5 days, et cetera, et cetera. So I think for some subcommittees, this could work for others, this may be a problem. So I just would think that there would be a way in which we could maybe tweak some of these dates and timelines. Thank you.
I'm going to jump in on two things, and also into the Affordable Housing Committee, when we started talking things about sites and contracts coming due on some older things, it's very highly sensitive, and it's not a decision-making body, and that's one of the reasons it's not open to the public. On the subzoning committee aspect, also, we're talking, I've reported on every meeting in the last 2 years, but we're also talking sometimes during contractual, and it's also very sensitive and not binding. So while I definitely understand the concept and the need for this, in the concept that, democracy dies in darkness, this is a very good concept, very restrictive. For example, for me to write a report within 5 days of having a meeting, it means I'm not getting back to 5 residents. And that's something that's very near and dear to me, getting back to every resident. I've got 4 open meetings, emails from this afternoon that I really want to get back to. So if I can ask you to please listen to these comments that were made, probably clean it up a little bit, tweak it, or we can call roll call now. I don't know if it's going to pass or not, but I think if you're listening to the council input, if you'd like to maybe take it back and tweak it, we'd be appreciated.
So I'm going to disagree. So I've sat at the zoning subcommittee meeting, and as it says that there's opportunities where if you have to go into closed session, you can. But as we've seen, there's a lot of distrust in, council items over the past years. The cannabis subcommittee had an open subcommittee meeting, and applicants came and everybody watched, and all the work got done, and it was fine. And council operated like this for years. Everything was done. I've heard it was on the floor, in a big table on the floor there, actually. So I don't see a problem with this. I think if there's nothing to hide, we can do the work. There's nothing to stop and say you can't do the research before. You can do the work, but there's nothing stopping it. And we had a pedestrian task force meeting. I got the minutes out in a day. I think that's not a thing, but I would like to make the motion to move this to the consent agenda.
And I did second it too.
Okay, I just want to appeal to looking at the wording of this. We 100% are, all of us, I believe, in favor of transparency and ensuring that our residents know what's happening within our subcommittees. All we're asking, I believe, is let's look at the dates and the timeline restrictions that enable us to really fulfill our responsibilities as leaders.
So I'm fine with all of Council Member G's recommendations, the timelines and everything. Honestly, this was, I didn't reinvent the wheel. This was Senator Weinberg's, help. She had a great submission to the state, and unfortunately it didn't go through, but I still would like to move it, and I'm fine with all of Councilmember G's.
Yes, Senator Weinberg sat on this dais also and ran plenty of subcommittees without any of this. So with that, I think there's a roll call then, and if it doesn't pass, we'll move on.
That was a first from Councilwoman Goldberg. There was a second from Councilman Pagan. Councilwoman Goldberg. Yes.
Clarification. Are we voting on the amended version? Or do we have to vote
It's
to amend
move
it?
it to the consent agenda, and then if you want to pull it later with your changes, I'm fine with.
Got it. Okay.
So yes.
So that was Councilwoman Goldberg. That was a yes.
Yes.
Councilman Pagan.
Yes.
Councilwoman G.
I'm going to say no for now because I'd like to just get the edits solidified first.
Councilman Katz.
I'm okay to move it to the consent agenda, but I agree that it needs editing.
Deputy Mayor Belcher.
I'm in favor of it, but I believe it needs to be tweaked in terms of the language that we're asking for. So I'm going to say yes.
Saying yes or no? Yes to move it or no to move it? You're moving it, okay.
Deputy Mayor Organ.
No.
Mayor Schwartz.
No, but it passes.
Yes, it's moving to the consent agenda.
Perfect.
That
What
would be-
number?
It's resolution
91?
number. I think you were right. 91. Is that what you said?
91.
Yeah,
Yes.
91.
Okay. Oh,
What are you doing back? What are you doing back there?
I broke the desk. Do I lose my security deposit? No, I don't know. It just
Okay.
fell off.
Oh shoot! Everything's falling apart. A 2x4 just fell off.
Okay, well, We're going to put a proposal to rebuild this conference room. Proposed resolution in honor of
I'm
Black
okay.
History Month.
No need to call an ambulance.
The voting right, Councilwoman Belcher, please go ahead.
Yes, just in honor of Black History Month, we just always want to recognize that this is a special month for many of us. We want to ensure that, our children know about history. History is really under attack in terms of, what is being taught in our schools and so forth. So we as a governing body would just like to remind all that, Black History Month is something that's near and dear to all of us, and that we as a council recognize that February of 2025 is Black History Month, and so therefore we would like to put forth a resolution in honor and recognition of Black History Month.
Second.
Yep. Is that not a hands or we need, it's on the resolution, we need a vote.
All right, 92-2025.
Proposed resolution reinstating block 201 lot 1 from Ander Walk to the Rossi, Councilman Goldberg and Councilman Pagan.
So just so everyone is clear, the recreation open space inventory is the document that is tied to all of our Green Acres funding. So through kind of hearing discussions going around town and just in general, I started doing some research, and so I'm just going to it's a little long, so I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I'm just going to read some of the important parts. So whereas the Township of Teaneck has long recognized the importance of preserving open space for recreation, conservation, and environmental protection as evidenced by its open space recreation plan, master plans, municipal land use policies dating back to 1962. Whereas Block 201 Lot 1, commonly known as 700 Pomander Walk, was acquired by the Township of Teaneck in 1954 through condemnation. The land was utilized as a municipal sewage plant until 1960. The land is subject to an active deed restriction by DEP due to the active landfill that remains. It is restricted under the Flood Hazard Control Act, Solid Waste Management Regulations, Watershed Protection Rules, all under NJDEP. In 1976, NJDEP issued a stream encroachment permit, it's all attached, for the construction of the Teaneck Swim Club, where a recorded deed restriction was filed with the Bergen County Clerk. And then through all the lease agreements, we know it's been there. Whereas Block 201, Lot 1, located at 700 Pomander Walk, was formerly listed on the Teaneck Township's Recreation Open Space Inventory, dated October 1991, passed by the Township Council of Teaneck, adopted in 1992 master plan, adopted by the Planning Board on December 10th, 1992, as well as in the 1994 master plan, adopted on January 13th, 1994, and filed with the Bergen County Clerk. Whereas after 1994, 700 Pomander Walk remained designated as a 15A property under public land on the OSRP, that's separate from the Rossi, reaffirming its classification as Township Open Municipal Space. NJDEP and Green Acres have continued to classify 700 Pomander Walk as encumbered and designated recreational land continuously through, again, all the maps are in there, 2002, 7, 12, 15, 23, and even as more recently as November 2024, reinforcing its protected status under state environmental and open space regulations. Whereas its omission from the Rossi undermines transparency and public accountability in municipal open space management, reinstating it ensures that it receives the full legal protection intended for permanently preserved municipal parkland. The Rossi must accurately list all municipally owned land for open space recreation purposes. That's NJAC 736, including land that is legally encumbered. A municipality cannot remove land from the Rossi without completing a formal diversion process, which requires public hearings, NJDEP approval, State House Commission approval, and replacement with land of equal or greater environmental value. Reinstating 700 Pomander Walk to the Rossi is not a policy choice, but a legal and procedural necessity to ensure compliance with NJDEP regulations, prevent misclassification of municipal open space, and protect the township's ability to protect public land from unauthorized development, diversion, and continue to receive Green Acres funding. And I just wanted to and Jim Veach, in his last email to Doug, actually, On December 3rd, he said, promote and celebrate your open space successes, reminding us all of the importance of preserving and protecting open space for future generations. So what this resolution does is essentially corrects an administrative issue. As far as the state is concerned, it is on the Rossi, it is encumbered, it is there, and we just need to formally put it on our paperwork, but all of their paperwork says it's on there. So I would like to move this resolution.
Thank you. I have, for one, I'm not in favor of doing anything voluntarily with Green Acres, but I think more importantly, this is a legal question. Is it on the Rossi or is it not? Does this council have a say in this matter, or we don't?
I don't know the answer to that question yet. I'm still reviewing some of the documents that were submitted, so I just don't know yet. You know, I can tell you it was not approved when we did the Ross and the OSRP last year. I know we had lots of discussions with Green Acres about these sorts of things, and at the time, this was not, you know, they were not raising this as something that need to be put on there. On the other hand, I understand from Councilwoman Goldberg's what she's saying. I'm not sure if something got lost in the mix or not. I guess at the point is I don't know yet.
So you're going to research and get back to us?
I need to see.
Can I read an email?
What's that?
No. Look,
I would like to read an email.
If this is a legal matter.
Yes, this is a legal matter.
Excuse
The
me.
swim club is encumbered as unfunded parkland and must be placed on the new Rossi. Any properties used for recreation conservation at the time of GA funding become encumbered. Even though the swim club is operated independently, the property is used recreationally and is owned by the township. Therefore, it is held by recreation. This is from Maud Snyder to Dean Kaczynski.
Okay. I'm going to amend the motion that we wait and see for the attorney to get back to us. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Roll call, please. This is the motion to wait for the attorney to review this matter and get back to us.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
No.
Councilman Pagan,
Nope.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes. Okay. Number 5, we did the township manager's report. Ms. Ashman.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, council and township residents. On February 5th, I met with the Environmental Commission, DPW, and Neighborhood Compost to better understand the compost pilot program for our community. A survey for residents of resident interest will be considered so we can fine tune our participation and how many compost totes we will need to participate, as well as looking at the best location for us to participate in the future. So I will report back on where it will be posted so we could see how many residents would like to register. The actual totes are a large black garbage can, 64-gallon, and they will be locked. So any resident that would like to participate, we will require a registration. It will be a free registration. So like I said, I will post the details online for residents to register. Last council meeting, we discussed snow shoveling assistance for our seniors after winter weather. In response, I was able to contact the forum and collaborate these services. Information has been posted to our snow webpage as well as Instagram and Facebook. The cost is anywhere from $35 to $50 per storm. We do encourage our seniors to register as soon as possible. As you can tell, we are getting more and more winter weather. So the sooner you register with the forum, they can set up the collaboration with the families. A Ramadan crescent lighting celebration is scheduled for February 24th at 6:30 p.m. at the Rhoda Center. We will also display an illuminated 4-foot crescent on the municipal green in honor of the residents observing Ramadan. Details will be posted this week to social media for additional details. I am happy to report that our DPW was able to add speed signage to Cedar Lane for motorist awareness. As an informational tool on our website, residents previously asked for a central location to view active and completed capital projects. That being said, our township engineer has launched a webpage link within our website by clicking on our plans, reports, and studies page. And under that link, you can click capital budget updates. This page will consist of project lists with a concise description of projects that we are currently awarding and target completion dates. We will generally update this website so you have an idea of how any project is moving along, and any kind of feedback, please email me. We will be updating the page periodically. As an update to our pedestrian safety and street smart campaign, the Traffic Bureau and Bergen County, along with our Street Smart Committee, met on February 3rd to discuss a specific area to focus on pedestrian safety. Collaboratively, we decided that the crossing at the Cedar Lane Movie Theater and double parking safety concerns would be a great area of focus. Things such as upgraded parking signage for motorists, short-term parking, loading zone designation, and crosswalk sticks were discussed. Educational programs in our schools will continue, and come the spring, we will assess more outdoor pedestrian interactions. As a friendly reminder, the reflector belts are still available at police headquarters, so you're free to pick them up at any time. This past weekend, we experienced another winter storm, and our DPW delivered blacktop roadways in record time. Every storm brings challenging conditions for them. Since January 29th to present, the DPW has applied 1,370 tons of salt and 2,100 gallons of calcium chloride. The combination of both was used in certain circumstances to improve road conditions as quickly as possible. I would like to acknowledge that even though the winter storms create disruption to our regular operations, our DPW has maintained a high level of service and continued with recycling collection thus far. Please be reminded that when a snow emergency is declared, all vehicles must be removed from the roadway unless you are parked in an exempt area. Please refer to our snow page, tnecnj.gov/snow, for all information pertaining to parking, snow restrictions, senior shoveling services, and cleanup obligations. As some of you have noticed, our Traffic Bureau is using a new orange ticketing envelope for vehicles that are not removed from the roadway during a snow emergency. These are weatherproof envelopes and will contain your parking violation. During this trial, the PD will monitor to see if this option is feasible moving forward. This also will assist neighbors in identifying if the PD has circulated the neighborhood and handed out a violation of a vehicle that has not moved. Please note that this past storm, 506 snow ordinance violations were issued and 1 vehicle was towed. I urge our residents to please utilize our municipal lots once a snow emergency is announced so we can clear our roadways curb to curb. Some grant updates I have for you tonight. We have presented 2 grants, Argonne Park Improvements and our Green Acres Jake's Law Grant Opportunity, and we have officially submitted those applications on time. We recently submitted for a local recreation improvement grant for gymnasium fans for our Rhoda Center. The amount requested was $80,000. We also submitted for Firehouse Subs Foundation Public Safety Grant. Through this grant, we requested swift water and mud rescue equipment in the amount of $15,327.98. Lastly, we submitted to the NJDEP Green Communities Grant Program for a tree inventory and community forestry management plan in the amount of $20,000. Some project updates I have for you tonight. The Voti Park restrooms have their utility connections complete and the work is almost completed. Bike lane improvement project is under review by NJDOT, and the Andreas Park pickleball courts. We had a pre-construction meeting this past week. Construction is due to start by the end of this month. Once again, a friendly reminder to sign up for township alerts. I know the mayor also reminded everyone it is the easiest way for us to get you any communications, especially during the winter storms. That's all I have for you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Mr. Attorney?
The only things I had tonight are some ordinances that are on the agenda. These are things that we've seen before related to fences. We've talked about these at the previous meetings, as well as the ADUs. As the ADUs ordinance that's been on the agenda, I'll say on a significant number of agendas going back for over a year now. I know that all 3 were deemed to be consistent with the master plan by the planning board. We just earlier received some comments from them. I think earlier today, as to some suggestions for those ordinances. If the council wishes to make those changes, we can reintroduce the ordinances. We could also just vote to adopt these ordinances and amend later on. But because they have been all deemed consistent by the planning board, the council is free to act however it so chooses. And I think that's all that I have tonight, Mr. Mayor.
So I'm gonna ask the township clerk to read the titles and the ordinances to record, then we're gonna open up to a public hearing on the ordinances, then council will speak and we'll take a vote.
Absolutely, Mayor. Thank you very much. We have quite a few ordinances up for public hearing this evening. Please bear with me. Sit tight. We have ordinance 3-2025, amending the township code to revise development regulations regarding fences. We have ordinance number 4-2025, amending the township code to revise development regulations regarding fences and retaining walls. We have ordinance number 6-2025, amending the township code for the township of Teaneck to enact a new section establishing and regulating accessory dwelling units. We have ordinance 9-2025, authorizing the acquisition by purchase or condemnation the property known as Block 4703, Lot 3, commonly known as 1084 Queen Anne Road for open space. We have ordinance number 10-2025, amending section 36-11.2 of chapter 36 of Township Code, adding restricted on-street parking space for handicap at the post office on 751 Palisades Ave. We have ordinance number 11-2025, amending the Township Code to revise limited parking laws on Fort Lee Road and Perry Lane. We have ordinance number 12-2025, amending the Township Code to revise prohibited parking laws on Perry Lane and Overbeck Terrace. Last but not least, ordinance number 13-2025, establish a permanently disabled veterans tax exemption in the Township of Teaneck. And that is all, Mayor, Council members.
Thank you very much. We're gonna open up the public hearing just on these items. We'll have good and welfare later for anything else. So please, not please, but only on these items. Councilman Kaplan.
Thank you, Mayor Schwartz and Council. The ordinances I wanted to speak to were 3-2025 and 4-2025. In 2015, the council excluded fences and sheds. Ordinance 3 seeks to undo the exclusion for fences. I want to be clear what this is for. The zoning permit required under Ordinance 3-2025 is a zoning permit. That is separate and not to be confused with the fence permit that is required under 33-29 under Section C, which is untouched by either of these ordinances. What winds up happening is a person comes in and requests a permit to put a fence on their property. Under the old way, which you're going to restore with Ordinance 3-2025, they would have to seek a zoning permit. They're going to be required to bring surveys. They're going to have to show where the property lines are. This is going to turn a very small project for which they required a permit anyway into a very large project, which is why the original change was made in 2015 to make things easier on residents. The notion that the survey is going to help sounds good until you realize the reality of how our building department operates. The owner comes in with a survey that says this is where my property line is. The building department doesn't question the survey. They just okay it because according to the survey, that's appropriate and they put it down. If it turns out that the neighbor next to them says, no, that's not where the property line is, the building department does not come out and adjudicate this. It goes to a court and they submit their evidence and what happens, happens. So requiring this zoning permit will add a couple extra dollars and a whole lot of grievance for the residents in town, but it doesn't actually help in the situation that it should be helping, because our zoning department does not have a licensed surveyor that's going to go out to the property, find the local, corner, start measuring and bringing out survey equipment to see if the information is correct on the survey map that was submitted with the application. I would encourage you, it doesn't change Ordinance 4. It still allows for the side yard fences to be changed appropriately. Do not make the change that's contemplated under Section 3-2025. It was properly eliminated in 2015 with a lot of care from the council for the residents. And before you make the change, I would suggest at the very least you go back and see why it was made and why some of you up here voted to make that change in 2025 so that you don't recreate the problems that ameliorated. Thank you.
You don't have a tux on.
Hi, Hallie Wanamaker, 148 Church Street. I'm speaking on behalf of the Coalition of Neighborhood Associations Working for a Better Teaneck. We are East Foti Neighborhood Association, Northeast Block Presidents Association, Northwest of Cedar Lane Neighborhood Association, Southwest Teaneck Neighborhood Association, and the Southeast Teaneck Neighborhood Association. The CNA supports the ordinance for ADUs, which will enable residents to create ADUs on their property. An important reason why we support this is because ADUs can address the issue of affordable housing, something that is urgently needed without needing to create huge apartment complexes, each with a small number of affordable units. It can also enable people to decide who will live in an affordable unit as opposed to units drawing from a huge region. Many Teaneck residents are unable to keep up with the high cost of living. ADUs can enable homeowners to afford to remain in Teaneck. ADUs also provide a way for seniors and others needing support to provide a residence for family members or caregivers. ADUs will be strictly regulated, and that is very important. We urge a unanimous vote in favor of this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green.
Hi, my name is Darrell Green, and I'm a Teaneck resident and also a former planning board member. I'm here to speak about ordinance 6-2025, the ADU. We at the planning board, we worked very hard for months trying to get the verbiage correct for the needs of Teaneck. And I asked the board to please table this vote until the verbiage is right. I am not against the concept of ADUs. I do believe in that. However, the language, the way it is now, is not correct for the township of Teaneck. And also, today I received an email that was basically explaining the ADUs and why it should be done here in Teaneck. And even in the email, the verbiage isn't correct there because it's misinformation. It's saying that the ADUs are for designated areas in Teaneck. This is a broad sword approach. It's for all of Teaneck. We need to look at the language. We spent months researching this, gathering information. The language, the recommendations that we made are not being adhered to. And I just wish that this board really take that in consideration. One of the things that needs to be addressed also is the 4-foot setback. That won't even get past the fire department. You need at least 10 feet for a fireman to enter a home with their equipment. And God knows we've had issues with that. So let's do it right the first time. Let's not pass this and then come back and fix it later. Let's take our time. Let's not be in a rush to make a mistake. And let's do the verbiage right. Teaneck needs it, but Teaneck needs the verbiage to be correct. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Sir? Take your time.
My name is Edward Holland. I'm a longtime Teaneck resident. I have two things I want to talk about. Number one. Oh. Okay, very good. All right. Number one, I want to talk about 1084 Queen Anne Road, which has been my property for about 40 years. I realize that there is new thinking about what should be done, and I would like to be on whatever committee it is that will be working on that. I think that I could contribute tremendously. The second I wanted to talk about was 13-2025. As a disabled veteran, I'm very much in favor of that ordinance because too many of our disabled veterans are ignored, and our enlistment numbers are very much down because people don't want to join the military because they feel that the military is not living up to their promise. So I'd like to encourage more assistance for disabled veterans. And I believe that most of you should agree with me with that, because without the military, we're vulnerable. And I know I gave a good chunk of myself away to help us have freedom. And that's the only way, freedom through strength. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holland. Anybody else in the chambers? Mr. Rose? Howard, yes. Howard, did you want to speak?
Howard Rose, Teaneck resident, former planning board member, Board of Ed member, number of other organizations. Regarding ADU, I understand that Teaneck is in a weird situation regarding the need for reasonably priced housing. I think we're given an excessive mandate by state, federal, et cetera, that we have to meet. And with that in mind, ADU is one of several components that must and should be utilized. It will benefit the township. And what makes it more specifically useful to the township is the fact that it impacts residents directly. It allows residents directly to expand the size of their households to accommodate children who come back home from college, parents who have a need to live with them, etc. I do have, though, one point that I really find very difficult to understand why it's in the language. Separate units. I don't want Teaneck to have the look of all these separate units popping up all over. So I'd like there to be very, very stringently enforced mandates regarding size, location, et cetera. And my feeling is, with good mandates restricting what can be done, there won't be that many standalones. I'm especially concerned with the language that says it can be within, I believe, 6 feet of a side yard. Up to 6 feet of a side yard, as well as 6 feet from a backyard line of property. I don't know how many residents in town, I don't know how many people on council want to stand at their property line and see a building 4 feet away, possibly 24 feet tall. Please go forward with ADUs, but get rid of the gargantuan monstrosity concept. Thank you.
Amrit Ramjatan, Teaneck resident. Good night to the council. I just want to quickly speak on 4-2025. Mr. Secretary, did you get my edits to the formatting changes? Did that make it in? It looked a little odd in the packet.
There were some minimus formatting changes, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was reviewing them with the attorney. I don't believe they're in the document now. If he believes that they should be in there, I'll definitely take his guidance.
Got it. Okay, just checking in on that. Now, in the spirit of getting stuff done, somebody's middle name, I'd request to pass the ordinance as is. I do always have one quick little complaint, and I would be requiring lattice in the construction, but honestly, I can live with it. So thank you.
Anybody else in chambers at the Zoom?
We are bringing in Colleen Diskin. Hi, Colleen. We could see you. Can we hear you?
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Colleen Diskin. I'm a 23-year resident of Teaneck, and I serve as communications manager for Age Friendly Teaneck. I'm here to urge adoption of the proposed ADU ordinance. ADUs are the epitome of age-friendly housing. That's because they offer a remedy for many of today's most challenging living circumstances. Challenges affecting people of all ages, all abilities, and all backgrounds. ADUs can help older homeowners, family caregivers, and young people embarking on their first careers to live more affordably, save for future needs, and create the support systems that work best for them. Rates of housing cost burden have risen dramatically in recent decades, even for people in middle income brackets. Many of Teaneck's older adults live in homes they struggle to afford, but they can't afford to downsize. And at the same time, young people struggle to find an affordable apartment or starter home. ADUs will allow our densely developed community to create new and affordable supporting housing alternatives that many people in Teaneck need without overburdening infrastructure and transforming the look and feel of neighborhoods. Growing percentages of older residents are living alone, and more are also aging with a disability or a chronic condition. That's why it's crucial that we look for housing options that promote community connections and workable caregiving arrangements. ADUs can allow multiple generations of one family to live together under separate roofs, or they can bring a senior struggling to get by on a fixed income together with a young person priced out of the housing markets. The stronger community ties that result will make our community a better place and a more supportive place for people of all ages. Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. We have Deborah Blayberg.
Hi, good evening. I hope you can hear me and understand.
Loud and clear.
Okay, so I'm actually talking about the ADU ordinance. Sorry, I don't know the numbers. I think it is a wonderful, amazing ordinance. However, it is extremely confusing. And in order to make sure that going forward, there are no challenges, there are no issues, I think it was better if the language could be tidied up. I'm agreeing with both planning board members that maybe you need to sit down and just clean up the language, make it so you've just done it to the previous resolution, or you wanted to do it to the previous resolution. So I think it's important that you just go back, make sure it's right, so there is no confusion with the sizes, with the amount of cars and parking spaces. I have a great space for an ADU. It will work for me perfectly, but I don't want to sit there and look at paperwork and not understand what's going on. So can we please, the idea that someone could have this, it benefits, it's a wonderful idea, but can we make sure it's done right and not just half-tossed? It would be just smarter to do it that way. And as we're seeing, people are wanting to see the transparency of our council. I'm very much about it. I've worked hard to get it on the Board of Education. And so I think this is something that you just tidy up the language, bring it back, and then everybody's going to be happy instead of a lot of people going, huh? Anyway, thank you and have a good evening.
We have Chuck Powers on deck.
Good evening. Just a minute on the ADU 62025 tonight. You've heard the near unanimous view that ADUs as a concept is something we really need in the town. We have been struggling to get the words and concepts right now for about 8 months. We've been looking at it. We've sent this ordinance back. It's been before the planning board twice. The planning board has some additional ideas. The point is that when you put anything new, and ADUs are clearly new, into the life of a town, you may not get it absolutely right in the first time, but we have been trying long enough to get something that we can basically try out. And if we need to make amendments because it's leading to things that we don't want for our town, we can then withdraw it and amend it. It's time to get the ADU concept, which has universal support almost everywhere. Now it's been through the planning board recommending its adoption twice, this time with additional ideas. But as the zoning board and the zoning officers goes about trying to figure out what to do with the actual implementation, we will learn something. We can't be perfect the first time. We're darn close this time. Let's go ahead and get this on the books so we can figure out what it is that we do and do not want in the particular. Thanks so much.
We have Michael Klatsky on deck.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mayor Schwartz and the council. I'd like to talk about two topics tonight. There was a different speaker earlier who spoke about Ordinance 3-2025, which is the ordinance that will modify the fence regulation. Council, I have a strong hunch that this is related to Ordinance 4-2025, which will modify how corner lots are looked at by the zoning officer in the town. And I would recommend that instead of throwing kind of like the baby out with the bathwater for all fences, making all fences return to the zoning officer, perhaps there could be some verbiage modified that only sends corner lot fences to the zoning officer and leaves all other fence projects to go through the standard permit process and avoid layers of bureaucracy that really are wholly unnecessary. The second topic I wanted to discuss tonight is the ADUs. I think that everyone does agree that ADUs are a great experiment to try. I would just leave whatever the council chooses to do. I'm sure you'll make the right decision. But just remember, you can always repeal it and take it back if it doesn't work well after like a year or so. And it's the bravest thing is probably just to try something. Let's see if it works for our community, and if we really hate it, let's just stop doing it. We don't really need to overthink it and make it perfect. Anyway, have a great night.
We have one more here. Please state your name for the record.
Alan Rubenstein.
You have 3 minutes.
Talking about the ADU ordinance, my first comment really is about what Mr. Salmon said, where he said the council is free to act however it wants. Unfortunately, that's not exactly correct. The MLUL actually states exactly what the council is required to do in 4055D-26A. It says the council shall review the report of the planning board and may disapprove or change any recommendations by a vote of a majority of its full authorized membership, and shall record in its minutes the reasons for not following such recommendation. I do hope that the council follows what the MLUL says, and I hope Mr. Salmon agrees to tell the council to do that. My other comments really have to do with, I guess, paragraph N, which actually for the first time in the town authorizes tandem parking. Once it is on the books that tandem parking has become parking, it is going to be used all over the place in terms of developments and otherwise to constitute parking spots. And we all know that tandem parking really is not proper parking. The other comment is in paragraph S, which if you were talking about putting an ADU on an existing garage in the back of a property, which would also be facing the street, you would have to then place the door elsewhere because the door could no longer be on the front of the garage, because paragraph S says there shall be no external entrance that faces a street from an ADU. So please take those comments under advice, as well as hopefully the comments from the planning board, and follow those. So thank you very much.
Okay. Seeing no one else? Hearing's now closed. Sorry, my mic was off. Okay, council, any comments?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I have a couple of questions. So the planning board came back, and I want to address one thing that Mr. Kaplan said on 3/20/25. Is there any language that we can put in here about grandfathering in anyone that did get the fence in there? So, they don't have to get the survey if they're doing a repair less than 50%. I don't know if that kind of a language kind of got me thinking. Scott, is that essentially grandfathering in the people?
Yeah, we could do that. That would be a material change. So we would need an amendment that would basically restart the process, but that is something we can definitely do. So
I don't know
up
how
to the
anyone
council.
else feels about that before. Okay, I would like to move to do that. Sorry.
I just wanted to hear from you why we need 3, why we need 3 in there and not just 4.
Three what?
Ordinance 3, 2025.
So these are two different ordinances, and they're different ordinances in the sense of one has to do with permits that are required, and the other one has to do with essentially the corner, I guess the kinds of fences that are allowed in certain situations. So the one for the permits that came on the request of the zoning officer requested that we change the language to reflect their typical practices in requiring these the permits. The other one is the council's been hearing for some time now. So they're even though they both have to do with fences, they're really completely separate.
But 3 came from the zoning officer?
Correct.
Okay.
4 is, sorry. Just to confirm, 4 was about getting the corner fences put up, the previously known as lattice, correct?
Yes.
So 4 is really the crux of it. 3 was a cleanup.
That's exactly correct, yes.
So, and I believe your comment was to pull 3. Was that what was?
So, well, I have a comment, the planning board made a comment on 4 that I'm gonna kind of defer here also. So Deputy Chief Kriegel made the point, and it's in the planning board report, about specifically defining the intersection of the 2 streets for the site triangle. Again, I don't know if that's a big change or not. That was in the report, and I know Deputy Chief Kriegel made that specific point before. Other than that, I'm okay with it. I don't.
Okay, so the question, I'm sorry. go ahead.
No, I have a serious concern with creating more onerous rules and regulations for our residents, especially like if someone's going to go and repair a fence. Now now they're going to have to maybe spend hundreds of dollars. Who knows how much the survey is going to be, delay time. I remember when we discussed this briefly in 2015, and there was a reason that we removed it. I understand there's a different zoning officer today. So without any explanation from the zoning officer, I don't think we should be voting on this. I think we should pull this, ask the zoning officer to maybe write up a little statement and explain why we're looking to add more onerous rules to our residents.
Understood. So there's a motion to pull 3.
If that's the one that's caused.
Well, I have a question on 3, 4, and 6.
Well, right now we're on, let's
Okay,
take one
so
at a
then
time.
3.
Is there a motion? Is there a second to pull 3?
I'm second.
Yes.
Let's
Tabling, sorry, whatever.
Okay, I'm like a
Motion
motion.
to table.
I
please.
second.
Motion table, second, roll call. on the
Wait, can
table.
I, I was
Table
gonna ask,
3.
I was gonna ask Councilmember Katz a question about what he said. With what you were saying, I'm sorry, if what you were saying though, in conjunction though, so if it's gone to, I think it was Mr. Klatsky's point, does it make sense, again, zoning officer question, to have it on the corner lot, because the corner lot is where you have the site triangle and you need that permit. So that's why I'm not sure. I guess that's an additional question to ask him.
It's tabled and that can be sent back for that. It's a legitimate question, but let's have the vote to the table and then we can send that back and ask them that on the table of that additional onerous comment.
Thanks.
Roll call, please.
Do we have a date that we would like to table this to?
I'm sorry, what?
Did we have a date that we would like to table?
March
this to?
15th.
Yeah, we just need a report from the
20,
zoning
April
officer. So the
22nd.
next meeting, whatever.
27th or 26th?
April 26th?
What?
Okay, April 26th.
April 20. Second March meeting?
Second March.
Cool. Second March meeting, which maybe just, I can tell us that right now. No, I don't have it in front of me. I can't remember the second March meeting. I'm sorry.
Well, we'll wait.
Yes,
I
roll
think there's only
call.
one.
I think it's March 11.
March 11 is the only March meeting.
Only March meeting, March 11. Are we okay with that?
Sure.
We have a meeting in between then.
Okay.
Yes.
excellent.
Okay, cool.
Wait, Matt, Jackie, is the zoning officer gonna be able to get us the information by then? That's really big, the question.
I believe so.
Okay.
But we are not tabling 4.
This is, we're
It's
acting
just-
on
We're only
3
talking
right
about 3 right now.
Yeah, acting on 3. There was a motion from Councilwoman Goldberg, or there was a motion from Deputy Mayor Organ, second from Councilwoman Goldberg, was it second?
Katz.
Second from Councilman Katz. Councilwoman Goldberg. Tabling
Yes.
to March. Councilman Pagan.
Yes.
Councilwoman G.
Yes.
Councilman Katz.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ.
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
We'll see it in March.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve 4. 4 was what we were really trying to do, help people. That was not the onerous one. Is there a second on 4?
Wait, my
Second.
only,
Oh,
can I
yes.
ask the question? So I just want to know, if everyone's okay with it. The police chief, Deputy Chief Kriegel said at the planning board and in the report, I just want to know if I'm not, this is probably your guys' more expertise, honestly. So clarify the reference to the intersection of the 2 streets for the site triangle purposes. That was the comment, and he was concerned about the public safety view. I don't know. I guess it's not clarified enough. I don't know.
It was deemed consistent. It was just a comment. I think we're ready
Okay.
to make a motion on 4.
So then I'm-
Motion of Schwartz on 4. Is there a second on 4?
Second.
Roll call on 4, please.
Just for Councilwoman Goldberg.
Yes.
Councilman Pagan.
Yes.
Councilwoman G.
Yes.
Councilman Katz.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ.
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Approved.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, I'm sorry, I didn't ask the attorney after the hearing. Were there comments you wanted to make to any of the speakers? Or was it just about the ADUs? That wasn't.
Yeah, there's just one comment I want to make just
Okay.
generally about the reference that was made by one of the residents to the municipal land use law about providing the reasons for providing the reasons for our decisions as to the consistency review suggestions that we received. So in this case, the planning board deemed all three of these ordinances to be consistent with the master plan. And so in those instances, the planning board is still entitled to make comments or suggestions on things that they think could improve the ordinances. But the council's obligations to provide the reasons for why they may disregard or ignore those are different than if they had deemed them to be inconsistent. So there's a statute that was specifically referenced that talks about how we need to provide reasons for rejection of the planning board suggestions in the minutes. That is only relevant when the planning board has deemed an ordinance to be inconsistent. And when they say it's inconsistent and they provide recommendations that would make it consistent, in those instances, the council is required to provide reasoning for why we're going to ignore those and adopt it anyway. When as in this case, the planning board has deemed them as being consistent, the council doesn't have the obligation. So I stand by what I said before. Council is absolutely free to do whatever it wants. It can provide reasons for ignoring the comments or rejecting the comments if it wants, but it is under absolutely no legal obligation to do it because they have been deemed consistent by the planning board. So I just want to clarify that.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the ADU ordinance, taking into account the recommendations from the planning board, which they reviewed twice. They reviewed and found it consistent under the old and the new master plan. I would like to move that we move forward with adopting the ADU.
And I'd like to comment on that there are always going to be comments and concerns and problems. We can't let perfect get in the way of good enough. I know there are comments that just go back for the language and just speak about the language. And sounds like a great idea. We'll probably be doing that till 2029. So let's give this a try.
Can I ask the attorney a question though?
In a second, let's give this a try. If it doesn't work out, we could change it. It's something, you've championed. I look forward to its passing. Everyone has their own ideas. If we give each other something that we may not fully agree with, but we try to push it and work together, it's the only way we're going to move forward. You got a question, Councilman?
Yeah, so I just want to say really quickly, that's not my question though. I do agree about the language. I have two questions, or I guess one really. So in the ordinance, it talks about the affordable units and the bigger sizes for them. And that, if you have an affordable unit, there's a deed restriction. It's just one line. What's the process for the deed restriction on the affordable units, and where is there an incentive? Like, it doesn't, I don't know where it's like, how that works.
Sure. So there's no requirement to put a deed restriction on an ADU. If you choose to do so voluntarily, obviously that comes with significant restrictions on what you're able to do with the property. And so the incentive that this ordinance provides is to allow you to increase the floor area. So if a deed restriction is placed, there are certain requirements there's in the ordinance, it references a state regulation, as well as another part of the township code. As long as your deed restriction is complying with those with those elements, you are automatically entitled to increase the total floor area that's provided.
Right, but let's say somebody wanted to build an ADU and they said, "Oh, I want to build an affordable unit." So in order for it to be in the actual affordable units, that unit has to have a 30-year deed restriction. So how does that work? Like, do they come to us? Do they come to where do they go? And also, how does that work with if the house gets sold? Do we have to subdivide it, or does it, I just don't understand where that comes, how that works, because there's nowhere else in there.
So they don't need to come to they'll need to come to the township for approval of the ADU itself. They don't need to come to the township for approval of the deed restrictions. That's just something that someone can do as long as it's compliant with the regulations that are cited there. So when they come to the township, because they're going to need different approvals from us anyway, that's how we would become aware that they're putting on this deed restriction. If someone wanted to sell their property, there's nothing to do with subdivide. This would not entitle them to subdivide. In fact, one of the main points in this ordinance is that the ADU cannot be separated from what's called the PDU, the primary dwelling unit. You cannot have them on separate lots, because that defeats really the entire purpose of it being an accessory dwelling unit. So once the ADU is on the property, especially if they put some sort of deed restriction, you can't then subdivide. You can't then use that as a way to subdivide the property and create two properties out of it.
So if somebody wanted to make an ADU and as part of our affordable housing number, it would have to, forget it to count, would it have to go through like the affordable housing law? Like, I just don't get how it works. Like,
Just by virtue of them putting the deed restriction on it, that at that point, when the township is going to become aware of it, because they're just going to have to apply to us to do this ADU. At that point, the township can just essentially add it to our lists with the state of where our, affordable housing units are.
but does that become like if my, mother moves into an ADU in my house and I decide to deed restrict it, can she stay? Or does it become, I have to go to the affordable housing lottery?
If she moves in and then
Or if I make an affordable unit,
Mhm.
can my mother move in, or does it become I have to go to the affordable housing lottery?
I don't know the answer to that question. Let me check that. I said I don't know the answer to that question. I need to look into that.
Any other questions? Good. Ms. Belcher? Okay, I believe there was a roll call. It was first and it was second by Mr. Pagan. Roll call, please.
Yes. Councilwoman Goldberg.
Yes.
Councilman Pagan.
Yes.
Councilwoman G.
Yes.
Councilman Katz.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ.
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Adopted.
Okay, we got 5 left. Congratulations. We have 5 left. I believe we'll do 1084 first. I think the rest we can do all together. I'm going to make a motion to approve ordinance 9 of 25.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Can
Oh,
we have discussion
sure.
on that?
Go ahead.
So this ordinance is now authorizing us to potentially purchase 1084.
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
The ordinance is authorizing us to purchase 1084, but should we decide to go ahead with the purchase, we would still have to reconvene and discuss it? Or is
Let-
this vote of council our vote to spend the money to purchase this if it?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so then I do have a few things to say on this.
Mhm.
Right now, I think
I'm
we
sorry,
have,
Can you clarify your answer? I'm not sure if that was what the answer is. I think you're asking, is this the final vote? We're going ahead and buying it, or are there more steps to the process?
I'm sorry, I didn't, okay.
Yeah, I
I
believe that was your
misunderstood.
question. correct?
that was my question.
Yeah, there are going to be more steps to the process. This is basically just authorizing us to begin the process.
So there will have to be a vote of council to spend any of the money to buy
Correct.
this house. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
appreciate the clarification.
this is just the beginning of the process. Roll call, please.
There was a first from who, second from who? I'm so
First
sorry.
from Schwartz and second
Second
from
from G.
That's
G.
right. Councilwoman Goldberg.
No on 9, yes on the rest.
I think he's,
Oh, so then no on 9.
No on 9.
Councilman Pagan.
Nope.
Councilwoman G.
Yes.
Councilman Katz.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ.
No.
Mayor Schwartz. It passes.
Excellent. I'd like to make a motion on ordinance number 10, 11, 12, and 13.
Second.
Roll call, please.
10, 11, 12, 13. That was a first from Mayor Schwartz, second from Councilwoman G. Councilwoman Goldberg.
Yes.
Councilman Pagan.
Yes to all.
Councilwoman G.
Yes.
Councilman Katz.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher.
Yes to all.
Deputy Mayor Organ.
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes. Okay, the highlight of the night is good and welfare. Mr. Siegel, next one.
Philip Rhodes, former chair of the Environmental Commission, member of the Township's Municipal Open Space Trust. I'd like to talk about the proposed resolution reinstating Block 201, Lot 1, the Teaneck Swim Club to the Rossi. I don't know how it was removed. I can't think of another property in Teaneck other than probably Voti Park that has given more enjoyment and recreational activities to the township citizens and a place for people go for peace and quiet. It should be protected. It should be it's a treasured asset of the township. And as the township's population has grown, as we have built more high-density housing, it is becoming more incumbent on us to protect our treasured assets and this open space than ever before. So please reinstate it.
Thank you. Mr. Siegel.
Hi, my name is Rich Siegel. I don't see the clock. Oh, okay. 25-year homeowner in Teaneck. So, Mr. Mayor, I wanted to talk about your prank in some detail. I think what you did was you Googled me and you found that I had a song called In Palestine presented in a video. And you thought it would be a real goof if you took my copyrighted material and you put a Zionist song over my video and sent it to me, and presumably sent it to other people and had a good laugh at my expense. You're mayor now, so I can talk to you directly. At the time, you were a council member, but you were still a public servant, and I was your constituent. And I think the way that you treated me was disgraceful, and I think you owe me. And I think we need to have a private discussion about that. And I want to bring up the way I've been treated by other members of this council. Hillary Goldberg turned her back on me. I'm not talking to her, I'm talking about her, okay? That's allowed. I'm talking to you. I'm talking about Hillary Goldberg.
You're talking to me, and we're not going to mention names, or you're not gonna speak
no,
at all.
I should get that time back.
I'm not so
okay?
sure about that. So talk to me, address it. You have a problem
Okay.
with other council members.
So,
That's fine to say that.
so, okay, another council member turned her back on me. And somehow that wasn't grounds for immediate dismissal. And I'm amazed by that. This same council member has committed libel against me. This same council member was present when her friends were shouting my daughter's name at a demonstration where my daughter was not present. Another council member said I lied when I said I needed to use the men's room, and I happened to see 2 young women get arrested at that time, as if I was part of some conspiracy and didn't really need to use the men's room. So what I'm pointing out is that 3 of the 4 Jewish council members here have given me abuse, and not only abuse, but really childish, ridiculous abuse. What's that about? I mean, I'm a Jewish guy that supports the Palestinians, and obviously you don't. But what I think it's about is, in order to justify this genocide in Palestine, you had to dehumanize the Palestinians. And so by extension, you have to dehumanize me. You have to use me as a goof. You have to turn your back on me. The way I've been treated here has been disgraceful. And I want to have a private conversation with you, Mayor, because you owe me.
Dan?
Speaking to the resolution. The resolution by Hillary Goldberg and.
Dan, sorry.
My name is Deanna, 708.
Assault, you saw it, sir. Charge him. Charge him now. I heard what he said to you. Charge him now. Listen, hey, everyone calm down. Sir, I heard what he said to you. I heard it over there. Please close the door, make it private. Hey. Close the door. Okay.
Dan, please continue.
I thought my 2 feral cats were in the room for a
No,
second.
but we took that off your time, so you have 1 minute left.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm Deanna, 708 Pomander Walk. I'm the closest neighbor to the Teaneck Swim Club. My family moved to Pomander Walk in 1960 when all of the open space behind my backyard was wetlands and marshland. And I have a photo of the 1960 year that we moved in, a photo of me. I'll distribute it to you. I can't put it on the internet. So the land is Wetlands. The land is entirely within the floodplain of the Hackensack River. There are all the regulations. The resolution that was written was just so comprehensive that it was the best resolution I've ever read from anything coming from TNEC. It dealt with every single history and problem regarding that land, the restrictions, the flood hazard area, the watershed management area 5. You know, the land really cannot be built on. You might have ideas that the TNEC Swim Club, you know, it's now going to go under municipal owners rule. The TNEC Swim Club lease will terminate. You'll take over the lease. But suppose the swim club does not, despite it being a public club, does not attract people for swimming. People just aren't doing that sport. I mean, I don't know why. It's a fabulous facility. I've been a member since 1977, but I'm here today to defend the land. I'm a person who knows this land. I've lived on it for really 65 years and seen all the changes. There won't be another me. There won't be another living eyewitness to the wetlands, to the burial mound that I have a photo of. I luckily, fortunately, managed to save the burial ground. So without me, let's talk 30 years from now. Someone comes forward with a proposal to build. They don't know the land. They don't know the history. Everyone has ideas. Wow, it's riverfront. We can do this. We can do that. But you can't do it. It's in a floodplain. It is protected. It is restricted. And the question is, why was it taken off the Ross Sea in 2007? Was that some sort of underhanded, you know, something somebody got away with? I really don't know. But I know that there have been past plans to look at that land to build on. And so I'll read you something from Mildred Taylor's book. Okay.
Send it over to us, please. Thank you
Okay,
very
but
much.
let me distribute the photos.
Very excellent.
From 2000,
Chair Brown? Hands? Right there? Okay. Ross, Mr. Strong?
Thank you.
Robbins.
Dr. Robinson,
Doctor, sorry.
it's okay. I'm retired, so it doesn't, I don't doctor anymore. I actually wanted to thank
Name for the record, sir, sorry.
Deputy Mayor Organ, Deputy Mayor Belcher, and Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Name for the record, sir, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
Dr. Robbins.
Dr. Michael Robinson.
Thank you, sorry.
I'm a member of the board of the swim club, and we met several weeks ago upstairs. Very nice. And I have to say, you guys, along with Mr. Simon, have really helped us a lot and worked very hard to work out a plan. And I want to thank you for coming forward and doing that. I don't generally come to these meetings. I understand that things generally take forever, but you guys really stepped up, and I thank you, and the board thanks you. I think it's going to be a great collaboration. I hope we can discuss what happens going forward after this year is over. But again, I think you guys did a wonderful service for the community in doing this. I'm just going to make one other comment, which is not related to the swim club at all. I just had the chance to witness something that is very disturbing to me related to our discourse, body politic. It is disturbing to me for a myriad of reasons. And that should not be allowed to happen. People should not be signaling out other people to disparage them in front of a group. I think it's awful. I've watched something similar to this with sort of the same individuals
several times that I've been here. And today was the worst one I've seen. And I thoroughly condemn that sort of action. I just wanted to throw that into the record because it disturbs me greatly. I think we need to work together. I think I've got 31 seconds left. I think that you know, it's terrible. I'm addicted to MSNBC. I spend a lot of time watching it. And we're really in trouble in this country. And this has got this discourse, this inability for us to talk to each other is going to destroy this township and destroy this country. And I don't want to see that happen.
Thank you, Doctor. Chair Brown.
Mayor Schwartz, thank you. Chris Brown, Bell Avenue, member of the Planning Board. First comments regarding our master plan. We adopted our master plan a couple of weeks ago on our January 30th meeting. Thank you to all the members of the public who came out for various community meetings, public hearings. Thank you to all of our board members who spent a number of hours, many hours, understating it, working on the document, working on revisions, and getting to a place where I think we can all be proud of. There's still more work to do, and I think that we stated on the record some suggestions for moving forward. I'll just say publicly here, I think that we probably should have done a community facilities element as part of the master plan, something that would have taken an inventory of all of our public buildings, fire, police, public school buildings, facilities, something that looks towards making improvements on various facilities. I know that all our elementary schools in Teaneck are not air conditioned as an example. So I don't know if this year or next year, at some point in the very near future, I think that it would be great if there could be some future budget allocated to the planning board to undertake that additional element. The other thing is just speaking generally, not planning board related, and wanted to speak on the swim club resolutions on tonight. Very supportive of that effort. Mayor Schwartz, you and I have talked about this over the past however many months. Really glad to see that the swim club will be a public facility. I grew up in the Bronx, not around any pools, so I actually had to learn to swim as an adult. And I did that because I really wanted to make sure that my kids would be safe swimming. So to have a better public facility for all township residents is really important, and it's a really great step forward. And it's really looking forward to the summer being at the swim club. So thank you all for your hard work with making this possible, and much appreciated.
Gentleman in that third row, sorry. I don't know your name. I apologize. Yep, you, sorry. And your last name, Stephen?
Stephen Vasella. So I want to talk about an ordinance 36-14 about parking on certain sides of the road on certain days. And specifically where it's implemented on Beverly Road, where I live, where I've lived since the end of December. Before that, I lived in a different part of Teaneck. And I just want to say I think it should be removed because, at least to my knowledge, I said I just moved there, so maybe it's something I'm unaware of. I believe that's a side road. It only has street sweeping 1 day a week. So I don't know why 6 days a week there's limits on which side you can park on. I don't know if it's like an antiquated law or what the reason would be. But to my own research, I couldn't see a reason for it. So I just wanted to kind of give my opinion that should be removed, as it just adds like an annoyance to all the residents on that road specifically.
I'm sorry, what was your name? What was the road?
Stephen Vassallo, and it was Beverly Road.
On Beverly Road, do you have the block? Like what block of Beverly Road?
What house number are you approximately? If you want to give your actual address, approximately what house number are you?
It's 477.
477, okay.
I don't think anyone
Mr. Clerk, can you give me your business card and be in touch with them? We'll be in touch with you on directly.
Awesome.
All right, thank you very much. Dr. Yook?
Good evening, Phil Young, Bell Avenue. So last time I was here, and I'm not going to be here for the next meeting, so I don't know what you're going to be discussing next. What do you mean? And yeah, it's a bit of a distance from where I'm going to be. So The last time I was here, I talked about, I think it's 100 State Street is the address, where there's a plan to build a storage facility. And the response I got was, well, the neighbors protested that, that there was going to be housing there, and so we approved a storage facility. I don't know why we need that in Teaneck. There are storage facilities all over Hackensack and in South Hackensack, pretty large ones. We keep on talking about the need for affordable housing and housing for seniors to stay in town, to be able to afford to live in town. And I've spoken to some people from the Northeast who said that the protest was there because of the particular design, the size of the building and so forth, the amount of parking and all that stuff. I think you should be careful about putting up a building that's not going to really serve the needs of the residents of the township. Township has requirements to meet, and we should be building housing there, not a storage facility. There are apartment buildings all over the place there. It's not a huge lot, and it can handle some units and will add to. And maybe that's a good spot to look for a builder who will build affordable units only. But be that as it may, that's just my opinion. I know it's the opinion of some other residents, and I just don't want eyesores in town. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bluner.
Berliner Teaneck resident. The discourse has actually gotten much better over the last year. So I mean, this is where we've gotten to. With regards to the pool, I think it's been lost through all the discussions. The Teaneck Swim Club effectively functions as a private club at this point, right? Not going to get into the technical and legal details, but there is a public facility. There is what is known as the People's Pool within Votee Park, right? The Votee Pool. And I think that any opportunity to improve and expand the infrastructure for all of Teaneck, for all of the residents, I think is only a positive. With regards to the dropping of what seems of the swim club from the Rossi, if that has to get corrected, great, let's do it. I know that over the last year, if I'm not mistaken, we've identified other properties that were dropped and had to be added on. And again, that may have just been an administration error 20 years ago, but let's get that fixed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Rose, and then we'll still next.
Thank you. Howard Rose, Teaneck resident, about 45 years. I'm invested in the community. I like the community and enjoy my life here. I'd like to enjoy it a little more in a couple of aspects. First, Mr. Yuck made a great point about storage over domicile. Doesn't make sense. Let's utilize what land is available for the best interest of Teaneck, which leads me into ADU. I'm glad you passed it. I think it's necessary. We need it. I may dislike one element of it, but overall, it's going to benefit Teaneck. Swim club. I made a statement about a month or two ago about the swim club. I thought that we should expand it, opening it up to the public and expanding it. The land would make it the Riviera on the Hackensack. Why not? We need it. We can use it. We know it's a useful piece of property that can be put to even better use. Committee meetings. I think there's some confusion in terms of what people want, what people see, and what they interpret. People want to know what's going on. That's the transparency aspect. When you start talking about an exemption for one committee and another exemption for another committee and another one for personnel, I think you have some flexibility to make it so that it can be seen and heard what's necessary, and that I don't know if you can have the equivalent of an executive session for something that's personnel related or finance related that can't be divulged to the public. In terms of, I heard a statement that they should list people who attend as well as committee members of the committee. Unless someone in the public is speaking at that meeting, and I want to speak about that as well, why would we want to know who's at the meeting? We don't list all the people sitting behind me at this meeting. Why would we do it at those meetings? Now, if you're going to have someone speak, I mean, there's also a possibility of you make it that it's a meeting that is observed by the public, but there is no interaction. Why do you have to have good and welfare at a committee meeting? Maybe that's not the need for it. or it'd be a special situation where you want to have it, or you might want it all the time. I mean, there's so many variables in that to make it flexible and make it work, because all people want is to hear and see what's going on as much as is possible. You can be clandestine a little bit. You can be secretive a little bit. Doesn't promote the best image, but you do have, again, some flexibility. Use it. Talking about Cedar Lane and safety, I'll tell you, go a block east of the theater, and I can tell you that I'm only outside coming to and from my store. So I'm only there a minute or two on the street a couple of times a day. And almost every time I see an illegal U-turn, I see adults carrying babies, walking with toddlers by their hand in the middle of the street. That's where the safety hazards are.
Thank you. Hildy?
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I want to thank you for passing the ADU ordinance and for all the work that has gone in researching this, and way overdue. And I think that, Mark, you and I don't always agree on everything, but I do agree, don't let perfection get in the way of progress in this state. So I'm very happy about that. I do totally agree with the resolution that Councilwoman Goldberg proposed to reinstate 1 Pomander Walk, which affectionately known as the Swim Club property, to put it back on the Rossi. I'm not exactly sure how it was ever removed, but it must continue to be protected as an open space. The New Jersey DEP, there are many reasons why we should not be building on this land. And as has been said before, it has been utilized beautifully as an open space in Teaneck. No reason to change that in the future. This would codify that by putting it back on the Rossi. I also want to thank our town manager and our town clerk, the DPW superintendent, to work with the Environmental Commission. The Environmental Commission voted to propose a pilot neighborhood compost program, and I invite and challenge everybody on the council to be part of our pilot program. At our next meeting, which is a week from this Wednesday, February 19th at 7:30 on Zoom, we'll answer any questions that residents may have about how the program will work, the benefits of the program, and how the compost will be utilized to feed animals and to grow crops on a New Jersey farm in Blairstown. So I hope that you will participate with us to set that example for all of our residents to live more sustainably. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that said, we'll hit the Zoom. Mr. Clerk, how many do you have?
We have a few right now. I am bringing in.
And I'm going to turn over to Deputy Mayor Organ while I step
You
out.
got it. Hi, Deputy Mayor Organ. I am bringing in Deborah Blayberg. Hildy, you had 30 seconds left.
Hi, good evening. I hope everybody is okay and you can hear me.
Loud and clear, 3 minutes.
Thank you. I just wanted to reiterate the whole swim club and Rosie thing. I have been learning about this stuff, which is quite fascinating with protected land. And I just believe, I'm just very confused as to why you wouldn't make this a resolution, because you're just crossing your T's and dotting your I's. Thank God I got that one right. So I'm just hoping that you would do that. And it is a shame that the mayor has stepped out, because I did want to say to him, could you please pass this on? Whilst the other meeting, I did accuse him of being a bully. This meeting, I'm actually very proud that he stepped up and spoke out when someone was speaking untowardly. So I just wanted, where I'm very critical at times, but I can also give credit where credit is due. And just to reiterate the Rosie, listen to Deanne. She knows this stuff. The land, she knows her burial land. She taught me so much about the area, and the town was gracious enough to realize that a fence was needed in the area to make sure there was a serious border because of the issues going on there. So the council is aware and has understanding of protected land. And so I'm hoping that they can take a step back, take a look and just make sure that land is protected. And again, if the swim club is open to the entire town, that is fabulous because it is a beautiful area and everyone deserves to enjoy it. So please, let's do something and make it work because things can be resolved in all ways. And I believe that the council has a way of bringing themselves together and maybe sitting down and finding common ground within each other instead of continually fighting. And then I can stop being so critical, please. Thank you. Anyway, have a good evening.
We have Chuck Powers whenever you are ready.
Good evening again. First place, I wanted to reinforce what Phil Yucht said about not using space that could easily be and appropriately be turned into affordable housing on State Street as a storage facility is a complete misuse of the very limited, we know how limited our developable space for such facilities is. We shouldn't be giving that one away. And we don't even know from anything I have read just who the developer of that property is. It's important for us to know that. Also want to suggest that we use the same principle that you folks used with the ADU tonight to say, maybe we don't have it quite right about making our subcommittees more transparent. But the lucky thing about any resolution is that when you now take it to the consent agenda, you can amend it tonight to make it do what it is that achieves that transparency without causing other problems. As a sort of final point, I do think that this town has been in a struggle since 2009, 16 straight years, about what belongs on its recreation open space inventory. We finally got an open space recreation plan passed. It included the swim club. For some reason, the swim club, which was for years on that Rossi, got taken off, and as several people have pointed out, you just can't do that, and it should be put back on if it's only an administrative matter. For heaven's sakes, we need to treat that space, which is now going to become a public space for recreational purposes, as what it is, and do whatever it takes to quickly get that property so defined. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We're bringing in Michael Klatsky.
Hey, good evening, council. I'd like to talk about a topic tonight that keeps coming up. It's something I wish that none of us really had to ever talk about. There does seem to be a situation in the town where there's a number of individuals who seem to be coming to council meetings, and they seem to be wanting to goad the council into a constitutional lawsuit where they believe that their rights are violated and they want to get $1 million payout from the taxpayers of this town. Taxpayers, that's all of us. Every single time someone comes to the council and they go to the council into trying to get them to talk back to them, they're trying to go after our wallets. Remember that. Members of the council, I recommend that when someone comes to the council meeting, you adopt a policy, or maybe not an official policy, but maybe just they have the right to speak for 3 minutes. They don't have the right to be noticed or responded to. We should ignore them. The town should give them the collective silent treatment that they deserve. Thanks, and have a great night.
We have Margaret Baker on deck.
Can you hear me, Doug?
Loud and clear, Margaret. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm calling again about the traffic situation out here on Decatur Avenue. It is outrageous. There are accidents. We had an accident Thursday night. We had an accident Sunday morning. Something has to be done. It's traffic, it's speed. I've been asking for years for strips, yellow lines, and nothing. I don't get an answer in regards to that. You put up a stop sign that has created more problems, congestion. Who in their right mind would put up a stop sign at that intersection and make it a three-way stop? Outrageous. And the accident Sunday morning, thank God it was a PSE and G pole there. The car wrapped around that. It hit it so hard. PSE&G had to come out and check it. Well, this week they had to come and change the pole. But they did leave the old pole there. You need to do something about the traffic out here. And please, I wish the council woman would listen to the person who lives on Decatur, who's right in the middle of it. I know what I'm talking about. I live it 24 hours a day. But when I brought it up before, everybody gets silent. You have a problem out here. Somebody's going to get killed. And it's not because you're not aware of it. We had road rage the other day. It got so bad by the new building. The police had to be called. You have created urban Teaneck. That's what you've done. So you might as well, if you get rid of one problem in Teaneck, you certainly have another one here in urban Teaneck.
Lillian Lewis.
Good evening, Council and Doug. How are you? Yes, I have two issues. Right now I'm a 43-year resident as of January. I have two issues. First, 100 State Street, that should not be a storage facility. We still need more senior affordable housing in Teaneck. Also, north on Palisade Avenue, you already have a storage facility. There's another one in Inglewood, Dean Street, humongous. We do not need one here or another one here in Teaneck. Second issue, I am the chairperson of the Northeast Block President Association Sanitation and Safety Committee. And I have written numerous emails regarding the lampposts that are out going south on Teaneck Road from Tryon to Amsterdam Avenue. Been out over a year. And I've written the manager regarding that. Also going north on Teaneck Road from Selvage up to the Dollar Tree store, the corner there. I'm not sure of the street that is where the Dollar Tree store is located, but going north from Selvage, going north, that's 5 lampposts out on that side. So we have a total of about 10 light posts out. And we talk about safety, we need the lights. So please address that and do something about it, please. It's been out long enough. And also about the State Street, please, no storage facility. Have a good night.
Mr. Clerk, anybody else? Seeing no other hands, good and welfare is now closed. We'll start the Ms. Goldberg, Councilwoman Goldberg.
Thank you. So I'm going to be quickish.
So first, I just want to say regarding Mr. Rhodes, so we condemn hate when we see it and we have to call it out. This is not international politics. It's here. It's been here. Thank you, Barry, for calling it out. The only way people understand hate, and in this instance, anti-Semitism, is when it's named and when it's identified so that people don't continue to repeat history. Preserving open space is not just an environmental or planning issue, it's a fundamental commitment to the well-being of our community. In Teaneck, we have long recognized the importance of ensuring our parks, recreation, and public lands remain protected for future generations. Open space fosters community, promotes mental and physical health, and preserves the environmental integrity of our town. It's a promise to our residents that we value their quality of life and the shared spaces that make Teaneck a place that we're proud to call home. Transparency and governance is equally critical. When decisions are made about public land, whether it's how they're classified, managed, or developed, residents deserve full visibility into the process. The public has a right to know when changes are proposed and have a say in the future of our shared resources. Transparency ensures accountability, and it prevents the misclassification, neglect, or loss of protected land, and guarantees that our township's open space are preserved according to the law and public interest. Reinstating 700 Pomander Walk is a necessary step in ensuring compliance with state environmental regulations and maintaining public trust. Teaneck's open space belongs to all of us. It's our collective responsibility to safeguard it, to remain vigilant in its protection, and to demand the full transparency in how it's managed. Our decisions today shape the community our children will inherit, and we must ensure that legacy is one of stewardship, responsibility, and unwavering commitment to preserving the public good. The email from Maud Snyder to this township, to a former township manager, confirms that the swim club is encumbered, unfunded parkland, and must be placed on the Rossi, regardless of what anyone may want. This council put it here in '92, and it's imperative that Teaneck follows through with the reinstatement to the Rossi to safeguard its open space and maintain public accountability. We're not just fighting for a piece of land, we're fighting for the principle that public land belongs to the people, not confusion, and certainly not to manipulation. This is about integrity, ensuring what's legally protected remains protected, and making sure that when we talk about transparency, we mean it. When we talk about accountability, reinforcement.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mr. Katz?
No, nothing right now.
Okay.
I just wanted to address some of the comments I heard about the Palmander Road land and the comments that Councilwoman Goldberg just made. So personally, we tabled it. We didn't say that we didn't want to put it back on the Rossi. I just wanted to make that crystal clear, just in case there was confusion around that. If it does belong back on the Rossi, of course, it should go back on the Rossi. There has never been, I've never heard of anyone talking about wanting to develop that land. That's not a thing. We want it to be open space. We want it to be recreation, used as recreation. We want it to remain a swim club. So I just wanted to be clear about that, just in case there was chatter about anything else. Also wanted to just acknowledge that it is Black History Month, and although the current political landscape is trying to do away with a lot of the ways that we celebrate, the way we're different and different cultures in this country, I'm very excited that Teaneck is going to pass that resolution to celebrate Black History Month this month, as we will for all other cultural months that we do celebrate. So I'll end there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor Belcher?
I just want to start by saying that, diversity, equity, and inclusion has really been in the news a lot. And tonight, I just want to underscore that there is such a thing as diversity in housing. And by us passing the ADU ordinance is an example of championing diversity in housing. I just want to thank the planning board. I want to thank my colleagues for helping to see that we actually got to this day, not only in terms of passing the ADU ordinance, but also passing the master plan. That was a major feat. That was a year and a half in the making. I think with that ADU speaks not only to diversity, but it speaks to the fact that we are offering residents options, and options are very important. I think that it's important that we realize that just like we are sitting up here making decisions about different things, even with the swim club, I can remember the very first meeting that we had. It was very important to me that we had a private club that is now being opened up to all residents, for everyone to enjoy and to take part in. And I think that's something that we should celebrate. I think that one of the comments I made in that very first meeting was I believe that we can see an Olympic champion coming out of TNAC as a result of perhaps opening up the swim club. So I'm super excited for the future. I do believe that whatever is responsible for being on the Rossi should be on the Rossi. I believe that history is important, though. As a person, the liaison to the Historic Preservation Commission, there are so many things that we're even learning about in terms of land that is designated, such as the African American burial site. So wherever we can preserve history for the next generations or those that sit in these seats years from now, we want to certainly do that. I just lastly want to say that passing the TNAC ADU ordinance will provide much needed affordable housing, I believe, options to our residents in terms of things other than huge developments. So thank you, TNAC. I'm super excited for the future.
Deputy Morgan.
So I'm sorry that Mr. Holland left. I would have loved to say thank you for your service to him, and it would be great if one of his friends on council maybe would sign him up for the military banner program, and we could hang his face on Cedar Lane and then show it to him. I think that would be a great way to say thank you for your service.
I thought he was here to yell at us, by the way.
To Dr. Robinson, thank you for your kind words, but really all the work on this, or the majority of the work, goes to Barry Obert and his love for the swim club and everything in it, and his willingness to keep working with us on this. At the beginning, when we started talking, I think we thought that we could run a pool, and we can't run a pool without the people who are so invested in it, who have been working on it for so long. So thank you for everything that you've done. We look forward to this venture together. We look forward to having the swim club, or whatever it shall heretofore be called, open for everybody in TNAC, someplace where we can all see each other and have fun and swim and not discuss politics at all. To the storage facility and the apartment building, everybody has such short memories here. There were meeting after meeting after meeting, people complaining about apartment buildings going up there, protests in the parking lot by Walgreens, and now we have a developer who's willing to take this eyesore, which is private property. We cannot decide what it's going to be developed as, but put a building facade on it so that it fits in with the neighborhood and requires much less parking and much less, people don't use it as much. So the amount of time they spend in a storage facility, they're in, they're out. And for anybody who spoke about storage facilities elsewhere, you're right in the middle of an apartment community. People who live in apartments need storage. So to me, I think it's a great idea. I look forward to supporting it. I look forward to not seeing the eyesore there anymore at all. But more importantly, on the corner at 140 State Street, I cannot wait for that building to go up, to bring new retail to the area and new residents to the area, and to have the grass stop growing up through the concrete. To Hildy, I am game to compost there. I've done many things in the last 4 years I never thought I was going to do, so you can count me in. And just because Trayvon walked in just now, everyone should know that the DPW is out salting. But more than that, in the last storm, I didn't get one complaint except maybe a parking ticket. The DPW has been doing such a stellar job with these storms, and people are noticing, plowing curb to curb, plowing down to the blacktop, going back out and salting streets where there are issues. We thank you so much, and we hope that you pass that on to everybody at the DPW.
Thank you. I'm going to jump in a few quick things. First of all, I really treasured Dr. Powers agreeing with me on the ADUs and not letting perfect kind of get in the way good enough. I'm going to ask you to make sure that's in the minutes. Open space, Rossi, as it relates to swim club. My sole, if it's legal, it's on. My sole desire to not voluntarily put it on the Rossi is any time that we need to make a deal or trade something with the state, we have a 3-to-1 requirement. We need a new DPW, potential talks with Leonia. There's over 100,000 square feet of land we have to give to the state. We've had several other pieces of land over the years that we've given quite a bit on the 3-to-1 being held hostage with the state. If indeed that is not on the Rossi, no one here wants it unprotected, but we will need to trade it in, and we cannot voluntarily give that up. We already have a situation brewing where we've got affordable housing that we have to build. At the same time, the open space is requiring 3-to-1 givebacks. Well, we're kind of running out of land. They're not making any more of it. And so the entire council has indicated their commitment to that. And if it needs to be on there by law, it's on. If it doesn't, I'm fully in favor of it. And give back to the state on the 3-to-1 when we have to make that trade.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I was gonna wait till the resolutions to bring, because I thought we'd talk about it, but I'm really not in favor of adding it to the Rossi at this point. You know, we've taken back a property that that has not been in our possession for over 40 years.
Mhm.
And I think it's really incumbent to preserve our optionalities right now and not tie our hands when we don't know how to proceed with this. So I think it'd be irresponsible to put it on the Rossi and tie it up and limit what we can and who can do it.
I fully agree.
think,
Right now, there's
you
no
know, The
resolution.
subcommittee did a fantastic
Mhm.
job, and I really didn't think it'd be this smooth, and here you're being complimented.
We
you
didn't, we
know.
didn't vote on it yet. We didn't vote on the swim club yet.
Okay,
That's
but
all
I'm
I'm saying,
saying you
huh?
did a fantastic job, being sensitive to everybody's
Mhm.
needs, the township and the current members. So I really like to see you now take the same care and consideration and go little by little and make sure we do the absolute best job for the residents of this town and not just do the political soundbite of let's put it on the Rossi.
I fully agree. Lastly, I'm going to end up with the 100 State Street. We passed ADUs tonight. Many people have problems with ADUs. Let's give it a try. Let's see where it goes. We can't stop progress. 100 State Street, 6 of the 7 people up here heard about this plan for several years now on the zoning subcommittee, tweaked it, heard about it, said, please come to council and discuss it. Came to council. There were plans put up on the screen. The full council, the full town saw it. Went back to the sub-zoning committee, saw it again. It was due for a vote last month. There was some language, legitimate language that our attorney and Councilwoman Goldberg pointed out. That's been passed under the master plan. It's been resolved. This plan does not require children, does not have children in school, does not require a pilot. We listened when the neighbors protested, when they didn't want the units, when they didn't want kids in the school, they wanted retail, they added retail to the first floor. We've done everything, we've heard everything. It's cladded in an apartment facade in the middle of over 1,150 apartment buildings. This is an absolute perfect use of a private development. Would I have loved affordable housing there? Absolutely. We don't own the land. We can't afford to buy the land. And we also know putting affordable housing there would be additional apartments that the community said we don't want to do that in a pilot, and that would require a pilot. And the old apartment buildings going forward will likely require pilots. The reason 140 State Street doesn't is because that owner bought the site in approximately 2005, so he owns it for years. So I appreciate and I ask for everyone who's spent years working on this. I'm looking forward to the support so we can move this forward and take this abandoned fire burnt lot that's since been demolished and create something for the community and for the revenue that we're going to need as we head into budget season. With that, Mr. Clerk, we'll go into the bill list, please.
Yes,
Consent agenda and the bill list in
sir.
the amount of.
Yes, sir, Mayor. We have a few resolutions this evening, starting with 49, which was from last meeting. And as you all recall, we changed the language within 49 for our SDL renewal. We added resolution 91, encouraging transparency in council subcommittee meetings, and 92 in honor of Black History Month. And the bill list in the amount of $11,510,495.49.
Okay. Go ahead, please go.
I'd like to pull 49, the bills list, 82, 85, and that's it.
Thank you very much.
But the bills list and 85 are the same conversation, so.
So why don't you start with 80? Is anybody else wants to pull anything else?
Yeah, 91.
91.
For review.
Where,
for the
sorry,
language.
91 was what? Martin Luther King?
No, the one that is on transparency, we were looking at the language.
Got it.
I'm sorry. I got 91 from Deputy Mayor Belcher. Councilwoman Goldberg, you wanted 49.
4982, the bills list, and 85.
Okay, anybody else? So let's go with 85 first in the bills list so we can make sure we get that approved tonight. What do you got on
So
85?
this is, I don't even know where to begin. So the resolution is about the special emergency appropriations. And I asked before the meeting about the $500,000 in debt service that we're paying, which that's part of the $973,000 invoice that's on the bills list. So when I got the invoice, it's an email from the CFO. It's talking about refinancing a bond from COVID, but it's like a private refinancing, and I'm really not clear where I asked, for the resolution where that refinancing was allowed, and I'm really confused. So I sent the attorney what Issa sent me about the ordinance from 2020. I think actually only 2 people were on council for that, actually. So, but I don't even understand how we refinanced money without a resolution to us. I don't get it. I don't know if Scott can answer, or Jackie, or somebody.
Good evening, council. So I'm on for tonight's meeting. I can answer that question. There was an ordinance 35-2020. So let me go back. Back in 2020, you all remember COVID. We all lived through it. The state had offered, State of New Jersey Division of Local Government Services had put out an offer to municipalities that were facing the brunt of lessened revenue, increased expenses, the option to calculate their budget deficit and spread it over 5 years. The 5-year payments back into the budget through the budget would begin in 2022 and in 2026. The caveat was that towns that took advantage of it would have to have their budget examined by the state under every year that their payments were being made. So our deficit was, I'm trying to find it in front of me, Councilman, I thought I did send you that email. I'm trying to find it in my email. I'm still getting used to our new Outlook system. But the ordinance was roughly 2.3, almost 2.4 million. Divided by 5 years was a split of roughly 467,000 with interest each year as a deferred charge. What happens is we issue a note, which we had a resolution, I believe it's 274-2020, authorizing myself, bond counsel, the auditor, and financial advisor to issue a 1-year note for that money. If you don't issue a note for the money, it drastically affects your surplus. You're literally borrowing from your savings and not paying it back. In the code, in the township code under section 15.4, under statutory payments, it does state that the CFO can issue vouchers for statutory payments, investments, and other periodic recurring payments required to be made by the council between council meetings, and they may be ratified by the governing body. In the 15 years I've been employed by the township, this has never been done by resolution by the CFO. I did work on this note issuance, and I roll over notes several times a year with the auditor, bond counsel, and financial advisor. We are all on it. We all get reports. I'm happy to share those reports with council. And the reason we privately finance this with our relationships with a local bank in New Jersey, or in this case, Passaic Valley Water Commission, through their CFO, Yitz Weiss, is that it saves us the cost of going out to the market, and Ms. Hashmat knows this, going through the whole review process, getting a bond rating, all this stuff costs several thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. Whereas I could just pick up the phone or have the financial advisor pick up the phone, speak with, my colleague Yitz Weiss at Passaic Valley Water Commission. We agree on a competitive note rate, which is a 1-year note. We paid off the second installment, and we have 1 more year installment left. So essentially, it was about $967,000 with interest in that. We paid that money off, and then Passaic Valley Water Commission let us borrow 1 more year, which we'll pay off in next year's budget. I hope that makes sense. Think of it as a credit card refinance or a balance transfer.
Thank you, Mr. CFO. I'd like to make a motion to approve 85 of 2025 in the bill list in the amount of, repeat it one more time, please.
11,510,495. Sorry, $11,510,495.49.
So moved.
So this was resolution 85 in the bill list.
85 in the bill list. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
No on invoice for Pascack Valley Water Commission, abstain on the rest of the bills list, and no on the resolution.
abstain on Passac Valley, no
No,
on the
no
bills.
on Pascack Valley, abstain on the rest, and no on the resolution.
Councilman Pagan,
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I'm just a little confused what we're voting on. We're voting on the bills
80.
list.
Bills list in 85.
Oh, that's it?
That's
Okay.
all.
So I am voting no on 85 and abstaining on the bills list.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
No on 85 and abstention on the bills list.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes, on all with the exception recusing or abstaining on 25-00644, which is a $115 bill for the Jewish link for the library. If there's no 4 votes for that, then just let it wait to the next meeting. That's is what it is.
We'll need to,
$115. That's the votes to vote. Okay. So that's all. We should all probably
Okay, yeah.
expand.
So, council, before that vote is finalized, that Jewish link invoice would not pass.
yeah.
That's fine.
We'll wait on the Jewish link bill.
That's fine.
You have that number, Issa,
Mr.
25.
Clerk, I'm willing to vote on the Jewish link bill.
Yeah, if anyone wants to change their
Never mind,
vote,
Issa.
it will pass.
But
You want
abstention on the rest of the bills.
Okay, yeah, Issa, disregard.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, 8911. We pulled that. Okay, okay.
This one is really quickly. I just wanted the clerk or the manager to explain the difference in the contracts from, we tabled the 49, this is the SDL contracts. We tabled it and they came back with a 2-year renewal. And if they could just explain to the public and everyone else about the difference. I don't know.
Absolutely. I'll pick that one up. The township was able to secure a 2-year agreement with SDL. Due to the type of service that SDL provides to the township, this info management software, we are bounded by local contract laws under the state of New Jersey that we cannot exceed a 2-year agreement. But we were able to secure a 2-year agreement, and by opting into the 2 years, we were able to lock in a rate now for 2026 that is otherwise subject to change. In addition, opting into the 2-year agreement enabled the vendor to offer us a slight decrease in the percentage outlay of increase for this year. Originally, we saw an increase to 54 and some change being offered, and now the new agreement offers, like I read into the record earlier this evening, $52,700 for 2025, $56,926.80 for 2026. After reviewing that with our purchasing agent, it's my opinion and the purchasing agent's opinion that this is a good move. If the council wishes to approve it, it will definitely be productive for the township.
I'll make a motion to approve 49, 2025.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Goldberg.
Yes, I just want to make a note that the code says that the person that pulled the motion from the consent agenda is the one that has the final say on it. Just
Excellent.
going forward,
Roll call.
just so you know. You made the
Noted.
motion, I wasn't done, but okay,
Noted.
thanks.
Is that a yes?
Did they
Councilwoman?
give any indication about why the rate went up 8% in 2026?
General inflation cost price.
All right, so now I move it.
We're in the middle of the roll call. Keep going.
No, I finished the conversation. That's the
I'm
code.
happy for you. Please continue.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G.
Yes.
Councilman Katz.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ.
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Approved.
Okay. 82, 2025, that was revised to reflect a 126 start.
I would just like to make a motion to have transparency start now.
Second.
I'll make a motion to approve for 82, 2025.
Is there a second?
Are we changing it with the change that it starts now?
There was no change. It's listed as 82.
So I just made a motion to
And there was a
change the
second.
Okay,
language.
let's call the roll call to revise 82, 2025.
To not do January 1, 2026, but to start ASAP There was a first from Councilman Goldberg, a second from Councilman Pagan. Councilman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan.
Yes.
Councilman G.
Sorry, can you just clarify what the current date is and what they're asking the date to be?
This is from a council listed item last meeting to add to our consent agenda for this meeting, a resolution requiring compliance with financial disclosure statement filing requirements for appointments and reappointments. And how it came to this agenda was that the resolution will take effect on January 1, 2026. And Councilwoman Goldberg, Councilman Pagan are suggesting that it start immediately. That's their motion, that we change the language to not start on January 1, 2026, but to start immediately.
I think the reason for it was to give people currently serving or applying a chance to then move ahead and file and be compliant.
Have
So
they
to
done
not
that?
be, it's only been 2 weeks.
Okay, so then I'm saying no to the amendment then? Is that what we're voting on?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Councilman Katz,
No to the amendment.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
No to the amendment.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
No.
Mayor Schwartz.
No, I'd like to make a motion to approve 82-2025 as listed and written in the resolution list.
Second.
Councilman Goldberg,
No, because transparency starts now.
Councilman Pagan.
Nope.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Approved.
Deputy Mayor Belcher, you wanted to pull
89.
91.
Right. I just want to look at those dates again, just the language. Let's clean up the language. We're all in favor of transparency. That's what why we're sitting in these seats. So I just think that the dates we need to look at, one point of information, I know that some councils in other municipalities have administrative support, such as a administrative person that is helping them in terms of can potentially help them with doing things like this. So I think we need to certainly have a little bit of grace instead of seeing 5 days after a meeting that we have to have things posted. So I just want the language cleaned up.
So what do you want to change? Just not make perfect the enemy of good. Let's
Yeah,
pass this today.
100%. We're gonna make a T-shirt out of that, but I say that, give it at least I would say at least double that amount of time, like 10 to 12 days, because oftentimes in these subcommittees, we have to do research. We're reaching out to individuals, we're asking for research. So 5 days is not enough time.
To have the minutes, this isn't about like the findings. This is just the minutes of the meeting. So you have the meeting, you have the minutes get posted online within 5
Right.
days.
I still say we need more time.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Listen, this ordinance is like motherhood and apple pie, and it sounds really fantastic. But the reality is, it's a subcommittee of 3. There's no official actions that are being taken. And while it's wonderful to invite everybody, and we can send out a mass alert and let them know that we're meeting, there are some meetings that really are sensitive and are needed to communicate, one-on-one or with the subcommittee and that group. So I would think that as good as this is, maybe the subcommittee chair can make a distinction between an open meeting and a regular subcommittee meeting, rather than inviting everybody. I mean, listen, then what's going to be next? Let's have a desk for all of our residents in the manager's office. Let's invite them all. They can come and see how she operates all day in response to every resident. Sounds great. Very transparent, but maybe not the best use of, time, personnel, et cetera. So I'm not supporting this.
I fully agree with you.
So I think
I'm
that
sorry,
there was
it's-
two
it's-
people
we're
talking
go-
about
we're go-
changing the
Excuse me,
days though.
Excuse me. We're going in order and we're not going to act like that. Councilwoman G.
Sorry. So I actually am in support of this resolution pending the recommendations that I made earlier. So one, I would like that we have administrative support to take all the minutes if we're going to keep these tight requirements. Is that something we can do?
I'm fine with both your changes and Deputy Mayor's changes.
I'd like to also, in that first bullet where it requires the 5 days notice, have some sort of line for emergent reasons where we might not have 5 days notice for the meetings.
I'm
I don't
fine with
know.
that.
I
Can
don't
we
know if
just
that's
like
something
make
we
sure
can-
that we just say why, like in general, like if there's an emergency issue, but just,
Yeah,
then fine.
sure.
Okay.
I like the concept of giving the chair some flexibility to to decide whether or not certain topics need to be closed. So if we can incorporate language there. Again, I'd like for personnel, which we already discussed, to remain closed. And I think there was already language about if there are legal reasons for why it should be closed, then it would be closed.
So I'm okay with the personnel. I understand that. You know, the chair deciding kind of defeats the purpose. There's very clear reasons when meetings are closed. Other than that, you know, if there's personnel, if there's a, you know, legal, that's defined by the law and the attorney can do it, but I'm not okay with the chair deciding, but I am okay with personnel. I understand the need there.
And then the other piece is if we're saying the chair decides, we probably need to identify who the chair is for each subcommittee. Right now, I don't think we've ever identified a chair, or maybe some do have chairs, but others don't. So that's, I don't know, this feels very messy trying to do this right now and vote on it. It seems like we should take it offline and clean it up and then vote. I am supportive of this in theory.
I think that we're letting good get in the way of perfect. I think
Okay, well-
I'm okay with almost all of the changes that you made, except for the chair. And we can come back and make the one change about the chair, but I think that, you know, I'm okay with the rest of the changes. I'm okay
And
with
sorry,
what
I just
Deputy
have
Mayor
two more
Belcher said
things.
as well, too.
Sorry, two more things. I wanted to scratch the quarterly summary. I think it's redundant. If we're gonna have minutes every month, like we don't need to do quarterly summaries. And then I asked for this earlier. What is meant by corrective action in the
Like I said,
compliance?
just bring it to the council. And if we have to change the members of the subcommittee, if they're not following this is a policy that we're making. I mean, there's nothing else really you can do, but I think that we can do. But I think, you know, and if you want to take that line out, I'm okay with that too. But I think that the rest of it is good, and I'm okay with all of the changes you recommended, except for the chair issue. I just think that, and the changes that Deputy Mayor Belcher requested too, I'm perfectly fine with.
All right, so I'm confirming we're scrapping that line about the corrective action.
Yeah.
Can I make a motion to table this?
Second.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I just want to say that I think that there's an opportunity in here with something you had said earlier about using our youth involved with helping us. We certainly don't have administrative support as council members, so perhaps there is some, you know, means by which we can utilize our young people, some high school students, something to consider.
Mr. Clerk, hold that, please.
This was a motion to table from Deputy Mayor Organ. It was a second from
Ellie White Cats.
Ellie White Katz. Councilwoman Goldberg.
No.
Councilman Pagan.
Nope.
Councilwoman G.
Yes.
Councilman Katz.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ.
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Tabled for council edits.
Okay, I think we now have motions on everything. There's some added since this agenda was out. So is everything on the consent agenda been addressed?
I don't think we actually even handled, did we?
Just-
Yeah, I don't think we actually even did the consent
Right.
agenda.
Okay, so then I'm gonna make a motion to approve, and clear me if I'm wrong, 83, 84, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, and was there a 92 with Black History Month?
Yep.
92, did I miss anything else?
No,
We do
that's all of
93
them.
just for that, Grit?
Yeah.
Let's do 93. 93. Is there a second on that? Call the roll call, please.
Councilwoman Goldberg.
Yes on 83, abstain on 84, recuse on 89 and 90, sorry, 88 and 89, and yes on the rest.
Recuse on 88 and 89.
Yep, and abstain on 84.
You got it. Councilman Pagan.
No on 84-2025.
Councilman Katz.
Abstain on 83 and 84, and yes to everything else.
Deputy Mayor Organ. Deputy Mayor Belcher, I'm sorry.
Yes to all.
Deputy Mayor Organ.
Yes to all.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes to all.
All approved.
Introduction of ordinances.
Yes, indeed. We have two this evening, council.
And if they confirm, these will go to the planning board. I'm sorry, Mr. Attorney, can you please, there was a question at the last meeting in terms of, Councilman Katz had asked you to double check on his voting, and I believe we ran a report and you did the math, and can you just confirm that he's okay to vote on this?
You talking about
The distance from the properties that he was concerned
Yeah,
with.
I'll say yes, first of all, that was outside the distance that you had asked about, but that is not a requirement that is applicable to members of the council when you guys are voting on something like this. The 200-foot restriction is really something that's meant for the land use boards. That doesn't apply to council. So he's outside of the distance requirement anyway, but regardless of that requirement doesn't apply to you guys when you're voting on these things.
Okay, and
Thank you. So to be clear, I can.
Absolutely, you can obviously.
I don't now have a conflict.
Correct. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you
And there
very
would be,
much.
sorry, and the same for voting for, let's say, DPW. This council, unless it's direct personal charge, can vote on something. I can vote on Phelps Park, or because it's right across the street from me, because there's no direct.
Correct.
And it's
correct.
not a land use
As
board.
long as you don't have any sort of direct personal like financial stake in whatever it is, then you're.
I have no stake in Phelps Park.
Yeah,
Thank you.
then otherwise you're totally fine. Then that's one of the ideas behind representative government is that you need to be able to vote on things that are important to you guys, and you can't really do that if you can't vote on things that are literally in your neighborhoods.
Thank you. Okay, and Mr. Clerk, this would, if approved, this would go to the planning board, correct?
Yeah, and we'll see him again on March 11th.
So they'll do it for consistency. Chair left. Okay, thank you.
All right, so we have two this evening, Mayor Council. We have ordinance number 14-2025, adopting a redevelopment plan in furtherance of the redevelopment of block 5004, lot 4.01, as shown on the tax map of the Township of Teaneck, in accordance with the local redevelopment and housing law. That is 100 State Street. Ordinance number 15-2025, adopting an amended redevelopment plan in furtherance of the redevelopment of the block of 5004, lot 1, as shown on the tax map of the Township of Teaneck, 140 State Street, in accordance with the local redevelopment and housing law. Those are the only two ordinances for introduction tonight.
Okay, make a motion to approve ordinance number, to approve and send to the planning board, ordinance number 14 and 15 on first reading.
Second.
Roll call, please.
We said that was a first from Mayor Schwartz and a second from Deputy Mayor Organ. Councilwoman Goldberg,
No, I didn't have sufficient time.
Councilman Pagan,
No to both ordinances.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
We'll see you again in 2 meetings.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
So adjourn.
10:46, everybody get home safe, stay warm. It's snowing a little bit out there. Everyone get home safe. Careful leaving the municipal building. We will have no slips and falls out there. We've been salting.